Hello everyone! Before we get today's episode going, I have a major announcement for you guys. I, yours truly, have opened a brand new merch shop! To be honest with you guys, I was personally not happy with spring, the experience, the quality of the clothing and stuff like that. After hearing so many good words from so many other people, I decided to bring everything from the spring shop over to Fourth Wall. Fourth Wall will now be the new home for the Postmodern Art Podcast shop. You can go there today and see a wide range of incredible shirts that we've had up there before, such as the logo, the Pride collection as done by Eldritch Grandpa and Mine and Roll Tears, the wonderful retro design as done by Roya Shahidi, the incredible tag design done by the incredible Aiden Art. And speaking of Aiden Art, thanks to him, we have two new designs that you can buy right now. The first being this cute little sock where you can see a little money bags on your ankle, little cute, little adorable. Just look at the little thing. I love him. It's wonderful. But also, more importantly, if you guys pay attention to me on Twitter, a few months back I did a little contest and did a little meme that was basically reminiscent of that classic Sonic pose of the Alone on a Friday Night thing. Well, I decided to do my own version of that, which Aiden did. And now with this new shop, I decided, let's slap that on a shirt. It looks absolutely incredible. All the shirts are using Comfort Color shirts, which are absolutely soft and amazing. I can attest to that after buying former guest Farrell Starweaver's shirt. I could not get enough of his shirt. He was telling me so many wonderful things about Fourth Wall. So many other people were talking about Fourth Wall. So I knew I just had to go there in order to sell my merch. You can go to the link down in the description below to find the link for that merch shop, or you can type post-modern-art-podcast-shop.fourthwall.com. You might want to go to that link in the description below. It's so much easier. And just to celebrate the brand new opening of the shop, if you use code NEWSHOP in checkout, you'll get an additional 10% off your order today. This deal will only be limited throughout the month of June. Sincerely, guys, this merch really does mean a lot to me. The artists that made this stuff did an absolutely sensational job, especially the ones I listed before, and Tipsy J Hearts for providing, obviously, the OG Mr. Moneybags design. And it also means a lot to me to give back to both the community and to the artists as well, with half of the profits going back to the artists that made the merch in the first place, and then for all the ones in the Pride collection, all the profits that I make from that will go directly to charities such as Lambda Literary and the Trans Lifeline. So any love and support that you can show with this podcast, any merch that you guys buy to really help get the name out there more and to really help grow this community more, you'll know how much it would mean the world to me if you go to the merch shop today. Check the link in the description below, or go to post-modern-art-podcast-shop.fourthwall.com. Just go to the link in the description below. It'll be so much easier. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Postmodern Art Podcast, the podcast dedicated to giving artists who are wowing the world over the platform they deserve. I'm your host, Nathan Ragland, and for today's conversation, well...
Yeah, Post. Let me just snatch this intro from you. Today's guest is yours truly, Pinch Raccoon, a dashing, daring, and dare I say, devious thief. I had a great time on this podcast today, and I had a great time in this conversation. If you enjoyed the conversation as much as I do, Post will have my links in the description below, so feel free to show some support, please. If you enjoy the podcast, make sure you like, share, subscribe, or follow on whatever audio streaming platform you prefer. Leave 5 stars wherever you can. I'm sure Post will enjoy it. If you want to support him a bit more, check out the new merch shop he's opened. A lot of stunning designs up there. Might have to snatch one for me. And maybe show some love on Patreon as well. For as little as $1 a month, you can get behind-the-scenes content, bonus episodes, so much for your buck, seriously. But now, without further ado, please enjoy the Postmodern Art Podcast.
By the way, I wanted to ask
Okay.
like super duper
Oh,
quickly, because I know you've shown support for the podcast before anyway, and I cannot tell you how much I really do love and appreciate it. How did you first hear about the podcast in the first place? Was it the Monty Moel episode?
I believe it was. I
Okay,
believe it was. Yes,
okay,
I do think it was the episode with Moel on it.
which was a really good
Um,
episode.
it was a very very solid episode. Big shoes to fill here, I'm sure. Um,
You don't have to fill the shoes. You just have to bring your own pair and just make it. Yeah,
yeah,
make
yeah.
it. You know, I'm not gonna
Oh,
say
I
make
get you.
it. Just
I
make
get
yourself at home.
she just gave a yeah, of course. She just gave a hell of an interview though. So just want to, credit where credit's due.
No, yeah, no,
But
absolutely.
yeah, yeah, no. That I think that was the first episode that I saw. Um, I think I maybe heard about it like once from someone within Moel's circle
Okay.
before that, but then like the first one that I got direct exposure to and watched was the Moel episode.
That's what I figured because I think that was also around that time to where I actually first heard about you. Whenever Mo, because around that time, if I remember correctly, Moel had hopped on to OST like not too long after that interview, or about that time when that interview happened. I remember that was
Yeah,
I believe that was the first stream that I watched of yours. So
because like that was like what late summer last year, right?
yeah, it seems about right, somewhere around that time.
Late, maybe like August-ish, I want to say maybe. Because she came on my show. She came on OST in September. It was the first time, I believe.
Okay, because if I remember correctly, her episode is episode 93, and we're this and Sasha's episode that
Damn.
just and
Actually,
Sasha's episode that just premiered is 128. So do like simple math or whatnot, 30 weeks past that or whatnot. Yeah, it's around that same time.
mhm,
But either way, yeah, no, I've said it before, but sincerely, thank you for the love and support you give to the podcast, and thank
of
you for
course.
and thank you for taking the time to be here today. I really do appreciate it.
Oh, of course. If I believe in it, I'll support it. That's fine.
Well, I'm glad you put a lot of belief in it because I'm trying to give that belief right back to you. So there you go.
Yeah.
Okay,
I.
Pinch. Before we really get going, I must ask the icebreaker question of the podcast, if I may. Let's say
Oh my goodness.
let's say you get to go to a desert island on your own accords. It is just you alone with your thoughts. You get to kick back, relax, breathe, get to truly enjoy yourself for a little bit. With accommodations, you're not stranded. It's more like your own personal paradise away from
Mhm.
everything. Uh,
Okay.
to help make sure you don't go completely insane on this island, you can bring one piece of media and one piece of art with you to help with whatever kind of vibe or headspace you want while you're relaxing on your own little personal
Hmm.
island. If given this opportunity, what would that one piece be?
I guess in this case, define media and define art. Like, what are we counting them as in this case?
Whatever you define as media or art is what we're playing it.
Interesting.
Like obviously there's the standard things that people call whenever it comes to like media, TV shows, films, literature, stuff like that. Video games,
Mhm.
I easily count that as media, and I obviously consider like most media as an art form in one way or another.
Yeah.
So yeah, whatever you consider under that umbrella, that is your domain to pick from.
Okay. It's funny. I wasn't actually expecting to kind of get to this point already, but I do kind of consider everything to be art in a way. So I guess I just
Okay.
have two I have two pieces of art if I wish. Okay. So all right. Hmm. That's that's a now this is assuming, right, whatever the means by which to facilitate using this piece of art, should you have to interact with it, are fulfilled.
Yes,
Right? Watching.
like I said,
Yeah.
this place has accommodations. It's not like I'm gonna leave you with
Yeah.
a movie reel but no way to watch it. Like,
Yeah, right. Um, what would I end up doing on this island? I'm asking that to myself. This is kind of a
yeah,
rhetorical. What would I end up doing there? Um, I guess, I'd want something time consuming.
hmm
Uh, so as much as it's tough to say, I'd probably say, assuming that the accommodations are there, Destiny 2,
okay,
uh,
okay.
because that is the game that I have a bazillion hours in. And I mean, if I need to kill time. There's no better time killer to me.
That
Uh,
is fair. That is fair. Like I'm genuinely curious because like I was curious with Destiny back whenever it first dropped or whatnot. So I have to know like
mhm.
what is it about Destiny, specifically Destiny 2, that like is the immediate like go to for you?
Oh, it was actually my first person shooter. It was
Okay.
the first person shooter I played. It was Destiny 1. I came in around Christmas of 2014.
Mm-hmm.
I came in with the Dark Below expansion. I was a quote unquote Christmas noob, as it were. And then for the next 9 years, I would take a few different breaks, a few different points in time where I wouldn't play Destiny or would play a lot of Destiny, depending on how I felt about multiplayer games at the time, because that shifted a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Destiny was the beginning of getting into a multiplayer game phase, which I got out of in like 2017 and started playing games that didn't make me hate playing games. Looking at you, Overwatch and Rainbow Six Siege. Um, no shade to those games. You're allowed to play them. But fuck, don't ask me to do it with you.
There you go.
Overwatch, maybe I these days maybe I'd be down for a game or two, but I can't stay on for like 10 hours playing
Right.
nothing but Overwatch. We got to do something else. But so yeah, I came in pretty early to the Destiny thing. Some people will hold it over your head. They're like, I played the beta. I played the Destiny 1 beta. I know more than it's like, dude, it's been 9 fucking years, dog. Did you also witness The Last Supper or something too? Like, what's your problem, man? Like, we get it. You saw old shit. A lot of people have seen a lot of old shit. Like, it doesn't make your opinion any more valid. You just said this gun shouldn't be able to shoot. You're a dumbass. What?
I'm
The
sorry.
Destiny community is very weird.
No, I can only imagine. I'm just sorry. I love the whole entire like, were you there at the Last Supper like comparison right there? I was there. I saw Judas say that stuff. I had my suspicions, but that Jesus fella, he didn't listen.
I was telling him take him off of that cross. That's bad. That's bad. I shouldn't have said that.
No, we should.
No, no, that's funny. That's funny. It's funny. Anyway,
But nevertheless, Destiny 2. That is your answer. You're locking that in.
yeah, I guess like and then if I have one more thing
Yeah,
as well.
I'll allow it. Go on.
Well, because you said you got oh wait, it's or, it's not and.
But again,
It's or. Okay. Okay. No, no, I'll abide by the
no,
question.
no, no.
I'll
I'm very loose with this stuff. So again, if you have something else, just go ahead and say it, Pinch.
I was almost, for some reason, I was almost thinking of I don't know why this movie popped into my mind at this, and it's the Wojcicki's Speed Racer.
Oh, okay.
That
Okay.
movie goes so hard. That movie goes insane. I feel like I could watch it once every 3 days and it'd be like a new experience all over again.
I mean,
I guess maybe the only thing is that it might expedite my descent process because of the stupid sections in the movie they put in with the kid and the monkey. I fucking hate those parts.
I mean,
Every other scene, every other frame of that movie though goes fucking crazy, and I adore it.
I would say, I mean, to be fair, like some people said that, like, you know, it's silly and ridiculous, and to them, I say, have you watched the original Speed Racer? I
Right?
think it's actually like
Yeah.
fairly accurate, all things considered.
It is. I'll give him that, but like I also don't like that part of the original Speed Racer. Like it's just just because it's here now and it's accurate doesn't make it good. It's
Right.
like you did something faithfully, but what you faithfully did was stupid. Like I don't like it. It was not okay. I'm being harsh. It's an artistic choice. It's it's just not for me. And I don't want to be inflammatory. You can enjoy what you want to enjoy, but to me, I would have taken one more race over all of the scenes with that kid and the monkey.
You know, fair enough. So I mean, like, obviously, that you were saying that's the part that you don't like about. So what do you like about the movie that makes you want to like take it on
Oh,
an island with you?
what do I like about Speed Racer? It's eye candy.
Yeah, fair
It
enough.
is eye candy. From a compositional perspective, like in terms of just like film composition, it's really, really impressive what they managed to do,
Mm-hmm.
because they do kind of break a bit of convention, but also like really, really use it to their advantage. So as to
cut things in and out of itself. They're the only the Wojcicki sisters are the only people who I've ever seen with this film do flashbacks in such a cool way where like it feels like a mental process. Like Speed Racer feels like a recollection of a story. It doesn't feel like a story happening. And that's what's really, really sick about it to me is it's mile a minute. It has each of its scenes are electric in multiple different ways. It has saturation that could make your eyes bleed. It's like it does so many things that it shouldn't do, right? It shouldn't do, but it does it anyway, and it pops off because of it. And I fucking love Speed Racer so much. It's a goddamn shame that it got put between Iron Man and The Dark Knight at the box office in 2008, that summer, right? So the summer blockbusters, two of which were like kind of grittier, more realistic versions of different beloved characters. And then there was one version of a beloved, well, American audiences, mostly beloved character, that got marketed to shit. It had like $13 million in marketing budget, if I'm remembering correctly. Everyone saw it everywhere. Everyone was fucking sick of seeing him. And then it was also the movie that it was. Like, it wasn't, like, people weren't ready for Speed Racer. And that's a goddamn shame.
Yes.
It is a shame.
I'm so glad I let you have that second choice because that enthusiasm you have for it, that's the stuff that I crave. That's exactly why.
I gotta watch this movie again tonight, I guess.
There you go. There you go. But now, Destiny 2 and 2008 Speed Racer, those are your answers. You're locking that in.
I think that would keep me occupied for a good while.
Well,
yeah.
If that's the case, I cannot think of a better way to start the Postmodern Art Podcast. Welcome, everyone. I am your host, Nathan Ragland. Feel free to like, share, subscribe, or follow whatever audio streaming platform you prefer. Check out the brand new merch shop that we opened. Check the links in the description below. And follow us on Twitter and Instagram at PostmodArtPod for future updates and guest announcements, including today's guest. They are a VTubing raccoon stealing hearts and arts, with a love for art history and video game OSTs on full display, live from their bunker. Welcome to the podcast, Pinch Raccoon!
Hello. I hadn't thought of that. Hearts and arts. I hadn't thought of that.
You are more than...
It's interesting. I'm taking that. No, I am taking that.
I was going to say, yeah, no, you take it, please. I thought of that, and I'm like, Pinch better use it after I say it.
Yeah, no, I'm going to remember that.
How are you doing today, Pinch?
I am doing swell.
Good.
Post. I'm doing great.
Good. With that, I mean, thank you so much once again for taking the time to be here. I greatly do appreciate it. Like I said earlier, I don't know if I'll include it or not. I guess we'll see. But again, I've been paying attention to your stuff for a good bit, especially after you first became aware of my stuff in the first place, and I'm grateful that I've had opportunities to interact with you in more ways that we'll definitely talk about later on. But before I really divulge to the stuff you're doing nowadays, I want to go back just a little bit and learn more or less the origin story of Pinch. What got you interested in art in the first place?
I suppose I've just kind of always been interested in it.
Okay.
And there's been people throughout my life who I will not go into a lot of detail about, but I was in close proximity to a number of picture framers for a good deal of early life. And that meant that I would sit in the picture framing shop sometimes when, I don't know, I guess I wasn't doing anything else, and just kind of watch them work occasionally. And what would come through was honestly sometimes shit that I probably shouldn't have seen at stage. But what I ended up seeing was a lot of like really, really beautiful and thought-provoking art, even as a younger person than I am today. And then also just being allowed to wander through this, because it was connected to this place that's like a big, almost like a museum, but also like a giant warehouse where a bunch of artists work and store their work.
Okay.
So being allowed to just kind of wander through there for free, like, because I was in with the band, if you will, and see the weirdest shit, like just the weird, like it was, I'm pretty sure I got so much exposure to Dada that the first time I saw, the urinal that's like the number one Dada piece, I was like, no, that's normal. That's completely normal. This is, yeah, absolutely. No, this is, what do you mean? This, people think this is an art? What are you, insane? What are you, insane? I saw a random just chunk of a prosthetic arm lying on the ground.
Yeah.
That's art. How is this not art? Yeah. So I suppose I was kind of born into it in a way.
Okay.
I can't pinpoint a moment where I was like, I've also never exactly been the best visual artist. I've never been excellent at making it. But what I've always loved about it was extracting what other people meant. Because there's a quote from Edward Hopper that I came to know recently.
Mm-hmm.
He said, if you could express it in words, you wouldn't need to paint it. And what I take that to mean is that there are certain forms of expression. There are certain ideas that you cannot and will not be able to express with words,
Right.
which is exactly what he said. But what that means is that there is knowledge to be gained. There is an experience to be understood. There is emotional intimacy to be had in visual medium. And that shows through in a lot of art. And that's kind of part of what I love about it, is that it provides you such, and this is speaking for all art necessarily, not even necessarily just visual, but I suppose visual is a good jumping off point for it.
Right.
Movies, or paintings, I guess is the way, painting, sculptures, that sort of thing is the jumping off point. Movies, music, video games, all sorts of things have so many interesting ways to make you feel the same thing that the developer felt at a point in time that they're intending to put in. It's like speaking another language. Some people fall in love with math because they find it to be a universal language. I fall in love with the multiple millions of different ways that people subtly try to influence you into feeling what they felt. And of course, that's not always what art intends to do. It intends to do multiple different things, but this is one particularly beautiful instance that I keep coming back to as to why I love art.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that's something that you and I can both easily relate to, because in fact that we both love and appreciate art in different ways, different manners. I mean, for you, hearing that you've basically been, like I said, raised and almost indoctrinated in this whole entire like art field in the first place is actually really impressive and like cool to hear. The fact that you kind of grew up around this stuff, like I'm nothing short of impressed to know that like that exposure has always kind of been there. And even to a point where it's still like a part of you to this day, learning all this stuff, and like especially hearing the quote that you were talking about with Hopper, like you'll understand how much I relate to that quote just thinking about it. Like,
right,
like it's something that you wouldn't think about, but like especially with all the forms of art, especially the ones that you considered art, what some people would just consider media or whatnot, that is a perfect illustration of art. Like that is wonderfully worded, if I do say so myself.
I mean, if I've said something that you agree with and you think is poignant already, I think I'm winning.
Well, I mean, I figured the conversation we were going to have was going to be a interesting and fairly intellectual one when it comes to the art, because I mean, I know like, especially hearing like how you kind of grew up around that art, which I didn't even know beforehand, but like especially how you've been able to express it nowadays with the stuff you're doing nowadays. I knew we were gonna have like a good conversation about that stuff. And I did just want to go back just a little bit talking about like the Dada that you were talking about and such, especially like the urinal, which is that legendary piece. I am personally a huge fan of Marcel Duchamp's as well. And like especially because in high school I was given an assignment to where like we were going to like a museum later that year, and like for that class we were gonna do research on the artists and like make our own like clay versions of their masterpieces and stuff. So I made like the bicycle seat on the bicycle wheel on top of a stool like as a coaster. I made the classic like just wall with windows that he did. I made that as like it's like a clay tray. Looking back, it doesn't look great, but I was proud of it. To the point to
and
where,
as long as you're proud of it in the moment, as long as you think that it's, well, we can loop back to this. I want to let you finish your point. Well, this did give me a thought to jump from. If you,
oh yeah, absolutely. I was gonna say like the last little thing is I did want to say is obviously like again later that year we went to the museum, which was like one of the biggest museums around where I lived, where they brought in like some of his work, and like one of his pieces, one of my personal favorite pieces, just because of how simple it is, was the shovel. If you remember that piece where he just went to a local hardware store, grabbed the shovel, signed his name on it, put it on a string, hung it from the ceiling, and called it art.
I mean, yeah. If that was his intent, some people are more elaborate, some people aren't.
Exactly.
If a feeling is simple, sometimes it's more elaborate. It's inherently paradoxical, and I think that's what. This is getting off of the point that I actually had before. Art is inherently paradoxical. One of the things that I try to push in my content to a certain degree is that there is no correct answer as to what art is. You can be an absolutist, which is more or less what I am, and which is to say everything is art. You can say nothing is art. You can say that art is but I don't think, personally, my personal opinion is that you're not allowed to say that art is, that you have to like gatekeep what specifically is and isn't art, because that kind of gets into a little bit of territory that some specific types of people we don't like tried to do in 1940. We don't like that. Don't do that.
No,
you should not. Like that. I'm just saying. I'm not calling you one of them. But what I'm saying is that if you look at a Rothko and you're like, that's not art. I mean, you're saying the same. You have the same take about it that a certain blonde-haired, blue-eyed fellow from Germany did in 1940. Like, I'm just saying, I'm not calling you one, but it's maybe not someone I'd like to share a take with.
I'll say we're not calling you that, but we are saying fuck those guys, and you don't want to be those guys that we say fuck those guys.
You don't want to be lumped in, right? Like, that's a topic we could go on about, the gallery of degenerate art in you know where Germany is. Whoops, the YouTube video just got demonetized.
I could easily just put a quickly, like, just literally cut it out, or I could censor it if I really cared enough.
You just say like Germany, like you have like a text to speech. Germany.
No, it'll be like in you know where Germany, like some ridiculous like.
Okay. Okay. But the gallery of degenerate art is something that we could go on about for a very long time, and I've been wanting to make content about it for a while.
Okay.
Because it aligns very particularly with this kind of point of discussion. That's kind of my.
Go on.
Yeah, art. There is no right way. There is no right answer. That's how art is. That's how emotions are. And I think to a certain degree, the lack of a bit, like, remember, you know, the fucking thing that people always would say, the curtains were blue. It meant that the curtains were blue. Well, they don't mean anything. It's just that the curtains are blue. That's what that means. I hate you. I fucking hate you. Artists make decisions for a reason.
Right.
They wouldn't write the curtains were blue if they didn't mean something by that. I do legitimately think there is a certain degree of like a lack of emotional maturity that a lot of people have, and I think part of that is from the popular narrative that you don't always need to take something from art. Like, you don't always need to, but you kind of should.
Yeah.
Like, that's the point of it. It's people telling you how they feel. Listen, and maybe you'll know how you feel and be able to express it better. Because now with these poignant different ways, maybe you can say it in a way that makes sense to you. Like, this is going to sound weird. You know the he's just like me for real phenomenon?
Yes,
like
I know exactly
the Ryan Gosling phenomenon. Where people, like, dudes will look at the guy from Drive and be like, he's just like me. I actually really appreciate that culture because I think that it's a practice and something that is good for you. Now, do I always agree with the characters who they're doing this with? No. But I think that looking at the vulnerabilities of specific characters, particularly like, you know, the guy from Drive and other Ryan Gosling characters, is a good thing. If you relate to the vulnerabilities of a character that is exhibiting a degree of emotional vulnerability in art, it's practice for being able to talk to people in a way that is earnest and genuine. And that is one of the most beautiful practical instances of art. And I think that, like, you got me talking now.
Good. I want you talking. It's a podcast. I expect talking.
Yeah. No, I will get as hoity-toity as you want. But I think that art is so important, not just because it is the cultural record of people, but because it is also legitimately good for you. It is good for you to consume art. It expands your mind. Honestly, arguably, more so than intellectual pursuit, some might say. And that's not to diminish intellectual pursuit. Intellectual pursuit's really helpful. People have, there's doctors and various other, extremely engineers, mechanics, all sorts of very important professions that exist more or less on the basis that people figured out how to build shit and figure out how things work. And that's not necessarily tied to art. And that's fine. I don't want to claim those under this is not the STEM camp. Like STEM is important too. But I find it annoying that people will focus so hard on what is deemed profitable or deemed immediately understandable as valuable, because it will immediately be like, oh, well, you can like save a life with this in a way. But it's like yes, that's very, very important. That's very important. I would never diminish that. But that's not it's not a zero-sum game. Art is also important. And it annoys me that there seems to be such a disconnect there. And that's not necessarily to say, I think that I believe that I will be met with a lot of people who agree with me in this case. I don't think that there are many people on the staunch other side as I am maybe portraying my belief to be. And I hope that I'm right in this case, in this specific part, that I'm wrong. I hope that I'm right. I hope I'm right that I'm overblowing the issue. But I think it's nice sometimes. I think it's a good idea sometimes to remind oneself about what is important about what you do in the day-to-day.
Right. Like at the very least, like, like you were saying, you're not diminishing obviously like the stems. You're not like downgrading like how important the stems are. But in the reverse, those same people shouldn't be downgrading the importance of art in the first place. Like,
Yeah, which they fucking do. Defunding art programs. How about I kill you?
There you go. In Minecraft.
Hold on.
In Minecraft.
In Minecraft. In Roblox. In Fortnite. In Fortnite creative mode.
There you go.
In Minesweeper. Competitive Minesweeper.
But yeah, no, like absolutely, yeah, no, that it back to your point, like obviously you're making very good points when it comes to this kind of stuff, and like you especially taking your time nowadays to express that importance when it comes to art wherever you can. Like that's something that I truly love and appreciate about you, like just the love you exude for art, especially like art history. Like, do you think part of that was because again you kind of grew up around art, so it made you love and appreciate it more, or was there like something else that like made you want to like truly invest yourself fully when it comes to like art and the history of art and the importance of art?
I think it's maybe a little bit of both.
Okay.
Because I became really invested in history, the study of history, for a while. Pursued it to certain degrees. It did what it did, and ultimately, what I got out of it was I knew a fair amount of things, right? And I'm still interested in history to this day. But I find that. Yeah, I found my interest in history and my interest in art kind of converging because, look at that. Well, it's the two words of the things that I like, but it's a topic that has literally both those words.
Yep.
Art history? Are you kidding me? Does it get a little weird sometimes? Yeah. Because especially when you look at like, was Edward Hopper an Ashcan artist student or was he not? Like he didn't actually go to this one niche school in Philadelphia, but he kind of paints sort of like these gentlemen. It's like, what the fuck? No. Like I guess not. Like I guess he is, but he isn't. Like he's painting similarly. It's like, oh, it's within the movement. Maybe he saw some of that. We don't know. I don't know. Maybe he is. Maybe he's not. He called himself an impressionist. Fuck it. He's an impressionist. I don't care. I like art history on the interpersonal level. I've always liked history on the interpersonal level, as it were. These stories of artists and kind of ways to contextualize their work to better understand it, I suppose. That's kind of where I hop off a little bit. Like, of course, it's important within specific movements because there's some people who are painters for the point of being painters. Like, and that's not necessarily to diminish their work or anything like that. But like Edgar Degas, was an artist's artist. That dude loved being an artist, and he certainly he was in France. He lived in Paris, Paris, as it were, and he like was very, very ingrained in the art scene there. So the post-impressionist and impressionist movements were kind of something he was consistently exposed to. So it's important to research that when you're doing that. So it's obviously, I'm not saying like, ugh, pointless. I don't think anything is pointless. If I express a preference from this point forward, I want, so I can shorthand this. If I express a preference to something, this is not to say that the other thing holds no value or less value. There's a case-by-case basis in all things, and to say otherwise is disingenuous. They're trying to sell you something. But yes, so to get back to the point, I suppose, I really like art history because it helps you contextualize the art. And so I just always liked art, or maybe like in a hidden way, partially, but I was like, I'd always been familiar with art, and I became familiar with history. And then the marrying of the two just worked really well for me. It was nice. And so that's now where my current love of it manifests in this.
I mean, I'm glad it certainly manifested into what I'm being presented these days. When like I said before, like you've done like a really good job contextualizing this stuff for audiences and such, and you've done a really good job like really showcasing that love and appreciation for some of the people, not just for the art and the artists themselves, like the context for them, but like also sometimes the context for the history at the time. Like a good example for me that I can think of off the top of my head is the recent art stream that you did, which was with Edward Hopper, talking about like some of the certain ways that he painted some of the certain subject matters, like really illustrating like what the time and the vibe was at for the subject matter that he was painting and such. Like you do really, I think you could easily agree to this, but like art does a great job not just providing context for the artist, but providing a context for the setting and the situation for whatever that artist is dealing with, both personally and externally.
Absolutely. To discuss Edward Hopper further, and at this point I think you might just want to put Nighthawks on the screen at this point. But so to discuss the man further, the piece Nighthawks by Edward Hopper perfectly encapsulates the feeling of urban loneliness. The idea that you can still be, and of course loneliness is a kind of diminishing way to refer to his work, because it's not entirely lonely. Some people see it as very freeing. Some people see it as jovial. Some people see it as extremely cozy. A lot of people see it a lot of different ways, and that's fine, right? That's great. That's excellent. I'm actually really, really happy that people see it in a lot of different ways, because that means that they aren't made sad by looking at it. And that's one of the other really cool things, is that even if the artist intends something, people don't always get that out of it. That's cool to me. That mistranslation, it's neat. But anyway, Nighthawks, too many, describes urban loneliness. The idea that you can be in a room with other people. You could be in the busiest place on earth, and you can still be completely alone somehow. And whether and it perfectly encapsulates. I'm saying that a lot. It works to demonstrate the feeling of New York City at the time. Of course, Hopper didn't give a shit. He didn't even listen to the drills or whatever, being like, uh-oh, what if people bomb New York? He's just like, I don't fucking care. I'll keep my light on and I'll keep doing my thing. When everyone else had their lights off and were like hunkering down and panicking, because it was like a mere few weeks after the bombing of Pearl Harbor that piece was published. So it's funny that he didn't give a shit, but then the way that it is interpreted can be emblematic in some way of how everyone else in New York City felt at the time, that they were to be afraid, that they were to hunker down and be afraid, and be alone and fearful. And that's one of the neat things about his work in this case. So this is to get back to the point of art providing context for history, not just history providing context for art. That's something to look at there. You can also look at propaganda. That's that's art. Is it pretty on the nose about what it wants you to do? Yeah, but it's still art. It's a good warm up if you need to get looking into some other more esoteric stuff, and you're like, okay, let's just run through World War II real quick. What's America want me to do? All right, enlist in the army. All right, what's Germany want me to do? All right, enlist in the army. Okay, cool. And then go do whatever else you got to do. Like, it's still art, and it still has a very, very significant historical footprint. But yes, yeah, that's the. Before I saunter on through this conversation, through this topic more, and muddy thesis, yes, I think it's really neat how that happens, and it's interesting to examine, and that's why I do it once a month on my art streams.
I mean, that it's certainly, like I said, like just hearing you like just going on, especially like how you interpret the stuff and how the stuff like, and obviously how it was obviously initially interpreted. That's the stuff that I love. I crave that like more than anything else. Was there a like whenever you decide to do some of these art streams, and again we'll talk about just your streams in general in a second, but whenever you decide to do these art streams, or whenever you just decide to get involved with investing yourself in art history, was there a particular artist or just like a particular story that like drew you into thinking about that in the first place, that like made you realize I want to learn more about people like this?
That is an interesting question. um in some ways there is an answer, but there also isn't.
Okay.
There's a few answers that I could feasibly give you, but I can't in 100% certainty say yes, this is the truth of the matter. There's Van Gogh. His tortured story is always compelling and always heartbreaking every time.
Yep.
There's Georgia O'Keeffe, who I find to be a really interesting American artist, who paints a lot of really cool shit. So much so that I incorporated it into the character in a certain way.
Ooh.
You'll see it's straight up. Can I point to it? It's up in the corner right now.
Yeah, I think
Music Pink and Blue #2. Yep. It's next to Ophelia, if you're familiar. The one that doesn't look like a person. Anyway, like those two are both answers I could totally give you on this, because I love both of those artists, and I think that they're both extremely compelling in their own ways and in their own stories. There's also like, and even looking at any other art, Da Vinci, Hokusai, looking at the suprematist artists. That's not like that's the Russian art movement from the early 20th century. I want to point out, whenever I say suprematist, people get like, what do you say? What are you praising? I promise it's not anything bad. It just sounds bad. The word supremacy has a negative context these days. Oh, yeah. So I wish to clarify quickly.
Right.
Anyway, Picasso is an interesting story. Mm-hmm. And then also there's a million like smaller artists as well who are really, really neat. But I guess part of it, knowing a lot of artists when I was, in my younger years, means that I kind of always saw artists as just kind of people who were weird, and delving into the weirdness of people was neat to me. So there's a familiarity to it, in that like I always sort of knew that like a specific amount of information. And I guess because I had the interpersonal connection to begin with, I sought that kind of same interpersonal connection in looking into art history, because I find that to be compelling towards seeing what the work means.
Okay.
To them, at least.
Right.
Because I'll still make my own take on it to begin with, but if I'm way off mark, then oh well. I'll keep that in my back pocket, that they can tell me what they think about it.
I mean, to be fair, I imagine you're probably, in a way like those artists that you have say before. It's one of those like your interpretation of this stuff is also based on your own personal experience around art in the first place. Mm-hmm. So I can understand like not only like growing up and seeing like these artists express themselves, but just seeing like understanding, like looking through like the history of all these other artists, like all the different struggles that they personally gone through. I can understand how it is kind of like the collective, like learning about everyone in general. Like it's hard to really pinpoint a single one to think, wow, their life is interesting, because to be fair, all their lives are interesting.
Yeah, that's why they're famous artists. Yeah, people thought that their emotional expression was cool enough and thought-provoking enough to be like, I will pay a fuck ton of money for this, and then I will put it in the museum.
There you go.
Forever. So yeah, they got to be all a little weird.
No, absolutely. But like, it also leads you to another question. Like, obviously, like you've immersed yourself when it comes to this kind of stuff, and like learning about all these different artists. Is there a particular artist that, whenever you were learning about them, was like the most interesting for you, or the one that you didn't expect to like really intrigue you the way that they did with how they developed their art and such?
Let me find his name. 1 second.
Okay.
I recently went through and categorized my folders of art and whatnot. He's European. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So he's not Russian. He's Ukrainian, but he lived in what is now Ukraine at a point, at least partially. So Anatoly Fomenko is a very peculiar man, because he has some pretty cool looking art, I'll admit, that's very influenced. He's a mathematician, and he is very influenced by that, and he's attempting to in some ways express or put to use the mathematics that he uses, right? So like, that's neat. Oh wow, that's some cool art, guy. That's neat. You got a lot of cool perspective. You got some weird color. You got some dark color palettes, some interesting brushwork. That's neat. Wow, so cool. Let me look this guy up on Wikipedia. Okay. Fomenko is responsible for a alternate history account that claims that like next to nothing happened in it, and everything was mashed together the last like 2,000 years, and that nothing happened before that, really. That's not necessarily a perfect demonstration of how his theory of alternate history works, but he's got a fucking whack job theory of alternate history. Let me pull it up. Hold on. Because now I'm...
It's like, you had me curious. Like, oh, he's like a normal artist and stuff.
You had me in the first half. Like, it's... Anatoly Fomenko. Here we go. So on his Wikipedia, I have his Wikipedia up right now just for quick reference, right? So his the way it works, there's top biography, mathematical work, historical revisionism, and then artwork. Fomenko is one of the authors of a concept that manipulates historical chronology. It is known as New Chronology. Fomenko claims that he has discovered that many historical events do not correspond mathematically with the dates on which they are supposed to have occurred. He asserts from this that all of ancient history, including the history of Greece, Rome, and Egypt, is just a reflection of events that occurred in the Middle Ages, and that all of Chinese and Arab history are fabrications of 17th and 18th century Jesuits. He also claims that Jesus lived in the 12th century AD, was crucified on Joshua's Hill, that the Trojan War and the Crusades were the same historical event, that Genghis Khan and the Mongols were actually Russians, and that the lands west of the 13 colonies that now constitute the American West and Middle West were part of a far eastern part of Siberian American Empire prior to its disintegration in 1775, and many other theories that contradict the many other theories that contradict the conventional historiography. As well as disputing written chronologies, Fomenko also disputes scientific dating techniques, such as dendrochronology and radiocarbon dating. So it's just wild sometimes that you can look into a guy and then learn that he thought that the Mongols controlled what wasn't part of the 13 colonies up until 1775. Like, how the fuck... Like, the rabbit hole you go down sometimes is so funny to me. And I had to read that section of his Wikipedia out so I could properly demonstrate to you the degree of whack job shit that this guy is on. He's alive too. That's
he's alive,
him, I guess. He's a man who's living. I'm pretty sure.
Look, I'm not gonna lie. When I asked that question,
that's not to say he should die.
No, obviously not. Obviously not.
But
I was just gonna say, look, whenever I asked that question, I didn't know what I expected, but that was not one of the things I expected.
Yeah, I didn't expect that when I went and looked them up. Now you know how I feel.
I gotta get him on the podcast now.
I don't believe he speaks English necessarily.
I don't know. I'm probably gonna cut this out, but I gotta make this joke. I don't know which one he would be more likely to hop on, this podcast or Infowars. Anyways, I I am so intrigued with the history you and the knowledge you have of art history. It reminds me of another podcast or another guest that I previously had on the podcast, and a guest that I sincerely want you to touch base with at some times. The guy's name is Kyle Wood. He hosts a podcast called Who Arted. It's like Who Farted, but without the F.
Oh,
but it is a art history podcast that he mainly has set up. Like initially, he had set up to like be a lesson for like, because he was a teacher, so like teaching his kids like all this like art history stuff, but like has since kind of like evolved and grown it to where like it's still like art history, but it's just like exploring all these different artists and such. I sincerely want you to reach out to him at some point, and I want you to have like a podcast talk about whatever artists you can bring on and like just talk about the cool history, because I know you can bring some like interesting topics and such. I've been on the podcast twice talking about like the regular, like the first time I was on there, I was talking about an artist named Ai Weiwei, which I don't know if have you ever heard of him before?
I don't believe I have.
He is a Chinese artist that I believe is also still living today, that really like likes to talk about like obviously the communism and the government thing that goes on with China and stuff, to where like it has got to a point where I'm pretty sure he like was either arrested in China for that kind of stuff, or like or cannot go to China because of the stuff he has said about it. The piece that we talked about is this interesting piece called Sunflowers, to where he had a bunch of other people create these ceramic sunflower seeds, and it's like thousands of them that he would like bring to like warehouses and such, and have them just spread across like the floor, just like like showing just kind of like like the unit, like how everything's like all the like the uniformity and like the similarities and stuff like that. Like it's a really unique piece. And then the second time I went on, we talked about the guy who won Is It Cake on Netflix. Like it like seriously, if you haven't had a chance to listen to the podcast Who Arted, I sincerely think you would actually appreciate it with just how much art history he does bring on there. And I think you would be a wonderful guest with some of the knowledge you could bring, as well as what Kyle already knows.
Yeah, I just I just went and pulled it up. Neat, very neat.
Yes,
very neat. I will be looking into listening to this at some point soon.
Oh, please
very
do.
Cool.
It's a really good podcast, and like I said, Kyle does a really good job with it. But yeah, we've been talking about like the art history kind of stuff, and while you have been obviously seriously invested with that, somehow you're able to find time to kick back, relax, and enjoy some stuff like video games and such.
I
have to know, when did video games become an integral part of your life?
It's real early. Out of character. Real early. One of my earliest memories. Out of character again. Don't look at me. Don't look at me. Out of character. My earliest memories is playing Pokemon Leaf Green on the Game Boy Advance. Legitimately, it is one of the single most consistent parts of my life. To say that it has been anything less than influential, at the bare minimum, is a disservice to a lie. Let's just call it what it is. A fucking lie. No, I am made the way I am because of the amount of video games that I played, I think.
I imagine part of that is obviously, you know, some of the most integral and some of the most amazing franchises that are out there. You talked about Pokemon, but let's talk about the big one for you. I know you're a big Sonic the Hedgehog fan.
I am a big Sonic fan. See, what's interesting is that I think I get pegged a lot as a bigger Sonic fan than I am a Pokemon fan. That's not necessarily true.
That's
actually.
fair. That's fair.
But I am very vocal about Sonic.
I think that's why people institute that more than the Pokemon thing, more than anything else. But I have to know, like, especially when it comes to like some of the early franchises, but like Sonic in particular, like what was it about series like that like really like grabbed you in and like made you want to be a part of it?
That is very interesting. Or that's a tough question to answer. Sonic, huh? What does make me love Sonic? Okay. I can give you an answer that I kind of thought of more recently.
Okay.
And it's actually a lot of the reason that why I like a lot of specific characters.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Sonic is someone who does exactly what he wishes to do, and it just so happens that what he wishes to do is to be a kind, nice person who helps people. That's really nice. I think that there's a certain degree of optimistic altruism that Sonic represents that just feels good to interact with. It feels good to be hyped about Sonic. You know what I mean? And that's why I think I let myself get my guard down about Sonic so frequently, is because man, you can't help but love the guy a little bit.
Yeah.
He as a character is doing his best because he wants to do his best, and that's sweet, and that's something that I think everyone can kind of look up toward a little bit. And I'm not saying I look at Sonic as a role model necessarily, but I think it's just like it's something nice to look at in this troubled day and age. Like Sonic is escapism to a certain degree for me. I have a hard time actually making coherent critical opinions on Sonic games. I remember a lot of people were really not into Sonic Frontiers for one reason or another. I fucking loved it because they talked about the other Sonic games, and I was like, yeah, what? They canonized that? And like I felt like a fucking kid in a candy store the whole time. I have a VOD up of the first, when I got to the first boss. I like had tears in my eyes. It was fucking crazy. Like, I don't know, I just have a really hard time critiquing Sonic, actually. Like, I can say I'm capable of it, but it is harder for me because I hold a degree of love for it that to where I'm just like, dude, this just feels good. It just feels good to do. Like, I even didn't hate my time with Shadow the Hedgehog, despite having to be coerced with money to play it.
I mean, I feel like that's how most people would get invested in some of the Sonic franchises, some of the games in there.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
Because, look, I think you can easily agree with me. As much as there are incredible Sonic games, there's no denying
There's a lot of dog shit.
There's a lot of dog shit Sonic games.
Dude, if you put me in a room and you say the only way to get out is Sonic and the Secret Rings, I'm getting out one way that isn't playing Sonic and the Secret Rings. I'll tell you that much.
Oh goodness. But I mean, like, even then, like, yeah, I could easily, like, I agree with you when it comes to like just Sonic being like that lovable character. Like, you, like, the fact that Sonic is probably one of the most like true to themselves character in all of gaming, maybe all of media or whatnot. It's easy to, like, you know, be on Sonic's side more than anything else.
Yeah, absolutely. And even at his dumbest and worst, like, Sonic's not even my favorite character from the Sonic series. Like, that's Shadow. I'll admit, that's Shadow.
You know, I could see that. I think it's
look at the color palette that I have here and say, like, you look at me and say that's not a weird edgy bitch. Actually, no. The truth of the matter is that I'm a weird edgy bitch, and I like Shadow the Hedgehog because he's a weird edgy bastard. All right. But Shadow's a lot more depth to him that I actually really, really like, that kind of gets squandered these days, and I'd really, really like if they wrote him correctly again. That'd be real nice. But anyway, like, it's hard not to like, Sonic is such a zeitgeist character. Yeah. He's something of an accepted factor within the gaming scene. Like, Sonic will never stop, ever, and I'm okay with that, honestly, because I like the guy. Because I think that, like, at its core, it has a really consistently positive theme, which is to say that, like, through your own action, you can do something about something. And, you know, sometimes it's really bombastic and sometimes it's not. But, like, there's, like Sonic just has some real fucking banger lines sometimes about just, like, be true to yourself and do what you think is right, and things might work out for you. Like, there's a good shot. Or, like, oh my god, the line when Chip... I don't like Chip in Sonic Unleashed, and Sonic Unleashed has some weird dialogue, but the line where Chip is like, he just realizes that he's like Gaia, and then he starts flying away like, I guess I guess our deal's done. I have my memory back. You don't really need to help me anymore. And then he starts flying off, and Sonic, reaches out with his fucking goofy werehog arm and catches him. And he's like, but isn't our deal done? And then Sonic's like, do I need a reason to help out a friend? It's like, that's so sweet.
It's very
That's
sweet.
so sweet. He's just a good guy. And it's weird. Sega has managed to make a character that I like so much as a person to the point where I'm willing to put up with them making bad games consistently with him. However, in Sonic Forces, that's fucking unforgivable. That thing is a steaming pile of ass. I fucking hate that game.
I figured the one you would immediately jump to was the one everyone jumps to, in that Sonic 06. But I think, again, that's like beating a dead horse at this point.
Oh, you know what's interesting about 06? I've been recently playing some of Project 06 off stream.
Okay.
Just to see if I do want to stream it at some point, just to see if my PC can handle it. Project 06 demonstrates that Sonic 06 could have been a good game.
Oh,
it could have been if they just finished it.
I'm sorry. There is no denying that Sonic 06 could have been a good game, but due to
people do deny it.
But due to forces that like, for example, trying to institute a crunch for a certain anniversary that came up whenever they could have
anniversary of Sonic.
Whenever they could have done something like figure out how to re-release a game or delay it or something along the lines of that, you could easily see why it failed.
Oh, absolutely. No, it failed, and it should have failed because corporate fucked it over.
Exactly.
It failed, and it's the product that it is because of the fact that it got... here's a discussion. I can feel this one coming on. Art under money constraint. Oh, baby. Anyway. Yeah, Sonic 06 got fucked over, and that's why it's a fucking awful game. People don't always equate it to being a game that got fucked over. People... I remember back in the day on YouTube, I remember gaming YouTube a while ago was very, let's say, preoccupied with being funny as opposed to preoccupied with being right.
Right.
Or giving any degree of artistic merit. So the popular narrative that to a degree is still popular is that Sonic 06 is a irredeemable game. It is absolutely not an irredeemable game. It got redeemed. They just put out all the levels, or not they, but someone, the developer of Project 06, just put out all the levels, but they're to the normal Sonic standard. And I'll tell you what, it feels good. It feels solid. There's some things that are wrong with it because it's a Sonic game.
Right.
Like, I'll level with you. None of them are perfect under any means. They figured out a formula and they've not been able to do it right for forever. But yeah, no, it's a game that had potential. But people don't seem to want to give it that time of day, that it had potential. And that's what's kind of annoying to me. But Sonic Forces, however, fucking spit in my face at that point. 3 hours long, not a damn thing happens.
Yep.
Sonic gets tortured in prison, and then he's like, whoa, here we go. Like, where's the character depth? Where's anything? Fucking comic Sonic would not be like, whoa, after being tortured in prison. Why is Shadow acting like that? Why does Knuckles look at a whole platoon of people getting wiped out and be like, oh man, time to make a pun about eggs or something? Like, what's happening? The tonal inconsistency, the gameplay inconsistency. There's so many things about Sonic Forces that make it just an unenjoyable experience. It's annoying. It's an annoying nothing burger of a game. I hate the term nothing burger. I despise the term nothing burger, but I'm willing to call Sonic Forces a nothing burger. It manages to somehow do every single thing that the Sonic series has ever done, but did it worse and more hollow than anything else could have possibly imagined. It barely works. The classic Sonic levels are equivalent to walking on Legos. The levels where you play as the OC. Hold on. Can we talk about them making a game where you could make a Sonic OC and then play as the Sonic OC in a self-insert my best friend is Sonic the Hedgehog story? Can we talk about that?
I was gonna bring that up as the
insane. Sega is out of their fucking minds. Hilarious, I want to point out. That is the funniest part of that game. But also, playing as that little shit fucking hurts. So, you know what? Whoops. You could also have them have a hat that says gamer on it. That's something else about Sonic Forces.
Yep. Man.
Yeah, but it's a 3-hour-long romp through reused assets and reused story concepts from other better games that just falls flat and is incredibly boring. Like, listen, if you get something out of Sonic, I guess the music's fine, but the music's always fine.
Yep.
People are like, "It's not so bad as Sonic Force." It's like, yeah, so is every fucking Sonic game, dude. Shadow the Hedgehog is a banger soundtrack and is arguably a worse game. It is more tedious somehow than Sonic Forces. But I wouldn't argue that it is a worse game than Sonic Forces. I'd argue it's actually slightly better, but it's still not good. But it's got a good soundtrack. Also, the menus in Shadow the Hedgehog have gun sound effects, like gun firing sound effects for every button press, and that gives it at least an entire letter grade up for me. That shit's hilarious. Every single time I go back to the menu so I can reselect, so I can do the next out of the 10 runs I have to do to get the true ending, and then it's the loudest gun sound effect you've ever heard in your entire life, and it knocks you on your ass. It's great. Anyway, where was I? Actually, where was I? I got yelling about Sonic Forces. That game blows. Okay, but so I do find as much as you might not as much as you'd be like, what, Pinch? How can you say this? Like, you just went off on a tangent about hating Sonic Forces and giving inflammatory, perhaps, but also, you know, critiques you could back up were you provided the time to do so. Which admittedly I have been provided the time, but I also don't really necessarily think that the time that I have been gifted here on the Postmodern Art Podcast should be used to exclusively deconstruct a game I don't particularly like. But okay, Sonic Frontiers. Sonic Frontiers is a game filled with giant open, like, masses of kind of nothing as levels with weird, like, vague Sonic level shit in the sky. Mm-hmm. And, like, I don't care. Like, that's the thing. I don't care in, like, a good way. Like, I don't care in the way of just, like, sure, Sonic's fast? Great. He's fast and does cool things? Fuck, dude, I guess I'm in. The cyberspace levels, they're, like, kind of hit or miss. All right, I'll do them. You know why? Because the whole time, they're like, hey, Sonic, remember that time in Sonic Unleashed when you did X, Y, or Z? Man, this conflict is really comparable to the Neo Metal Sonic phenomenon, which is from Sonic Heroes, by the way. And I was like, what? No! Like, the entire time. I was so happy to hear them mention characters, or, oh my god, and Knuckles. They redeemed Knuckles. They made him good for the first time in years. They made him good for the first time in fucking ages. They made him and Sonic's rivalry cute again after Ken Pender sued, and then they couldn't do shit for forever. Oh my god. So, okay, my love for Sonic from a character perspective makes it difficult for me to say bad things about it in the same way that other people say bad things about it, if that makes sense. I'm willing to admit Sonic Frontiers' flaws, but in a review that I make of Sonic Frontiers, I will not provide them the full weight because I don't care. I legitimately just don't care about the issues. I like Sonic, and I like that guy, and I like his silly little friends. And you know what? They put Sonic and his silly little friends in a good way in that game. Great game to me. 8 out of 10, at the very least. They did do some weird shit in the gameplay that kept me from getting to those points as quickly as I might like, and they did some other weird shit. But also, oh my god, the boss fights were fucking crazy, were sick. Oh, no. I have to stop myself. I've iterated my point that I like Sonic Frontiers, despite the fact that Sonic Frontiers is a flawed game from a gameplay perspective. But because of the fact that I love Sonic, it is hard for me to always give that the same weight.
I did not expect the discussion to go this way once again, but I'm glad the discussion went this way.
Just you wait till you say Pokemon. I'm really getting heated.
Look, as someone that was a early fan of Pokemon and not really on board with some of the later stuff, though I have wanted to or whatnot, I can see where there are some heated discussions there, to say the very least. But
I mean,
go on.
Okay, actually, I'll say my Pokemon point really, really quickly because it's actually pretty much the same thing as my Sonic 06 point. They're releasing them yearly. Mm-hmm. This is bad for them because the games are worse. Scarlet and Violet barely runs because it is an unfinished game. It is really fun to play, though, somehow. Cool for it, but the performance is legitimately abysmal, genuinely unforgivable. And because they keep on putting them out yearly without any room in between, they have become worse games. Also, the Gen 4 remakes. Look what they did to my boy. They massacred him. They massacred my beloved Gen 4. They killed him. They took his guts out on the table, and then they did nothing with them. They just left it out. They handed it over to Ilkasoft because they couldn't make another game because they were already making Legends Arceus, but they were like, we still need another game this year. Like, no, just don't do that. Stop. Like the worst part too, if they just didn't release Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl that year, they could have then, they could have had Legends Arceus. Okay, hold on. So, never mind. This is talking about I'm getting the timeline, the ideal timeline of Pokemon recently kind of mixed up here. What a lot of people have said, what I've seconded as well, is that if they just pushed Legends Arceus to the end of 2022, and then so that game could be as good as possible, and then Scarlet and Violet to the end of this year, if it has to be, if it must be yearly, we still would have had a Pokemon every year.
Yeah.
We had 2 Pokemon games last year. One was really pretty solid. The other was, and they could have both been better, provided they had the time. So in the same way that Sonic 06 gets fucked over by Sega for trying to get to the 15th anniversary, Pokemon gets fucked by the Pokemon Company every single year because they're trying to hit a yearly deadline, sometimes double yearly deadline. It is legitimately concerning, and it is highlighting an issue that there's no way there isn't some workplace like fuckery going on in that place. Like that has to be the worst place to. Game Freak has got to be like, like animation studios in Japan, mm-hmm. How they're like, oh, you get like dog shit per frame. You get a slap in the face every 10 frames, and then that's your payment. I have to imagine that that's what working at Game Freak is like. Not even necessarily because they're both Japanese companies, but because they have like 50 fucking people or something, like 100 people or some shit, and they make Pokemon every year.
Yeah,
are these people paid well? Like, I hope so.
I hope they're paid at least halfway decently for the output that they have.
I really want them to be paid well. I want shorter games that cost more. And I'm not joking. I don't remember the full quote.
And look, I was gonna say, look, I don't know the full quote, but I did make a parody of that one saying that I want animators to be paid more to work less and tell their story to the fullest. And I'm not kidding, which you can buy at the merch shop right now.
Yeah, that's a shirt. You can get that on a shirt.
Yes, I did put it on a shirt, and it looks absolutely gorgeous.
I think it looks pretty good. I haven't seen that one. I think that looks good. I would, if I am considering a purchase from the Postmodern Art Podcast a merch store in the near future, it might be that shirt. I think
if you don't,
that shirt hits.
I'm glad. I want that shirt to hit, as long as the art thief in you doesn't come in and you decide to just steal it. But
okay, if it's a friend, I only take little tchotchkes from friends.
Fair,
not things they're charging for.
There you go. Now, I did want to say, I think you and I can both agree that when it comes to both those franchises you talk about, and with a lot of video games in general, but like with those 2 in particular, like you were talking about, like the gameplays being hit or miss when it comes to certain things or whatnot, like the yearly release schedule and da. But we can at least agree the soundtracks, at least for both those series, are absolutely incredible. Like
Oh
that's
yeah, no, it's funny actually that I think I see the segue you're making.
well, the segue I'm at least gonna make, because the big point I'll save when we talk about the streaming stuff in general. But I just want to at least
Yeah.
know, just in general, like what is it about like video game soundtracks that like creatively like just hits different for you?
Ooh, okay. So I don't want to be reductive to the way that I think about things, but I do think there's a very, very common thread. There's one piece that is a common thread in the way that I consider a lot of media and a lot of pieces of media, and that is uh, expression of emotion, right? Um, the unique challenge of video game music is to express a very specific emotion. It is called for at this specific point in time. It's the same kind of thing with movie scores, actually. A lot of people really, really like listening to movie scores. I'm not necessarily that person. John Williams, great composer. I can't necessarily listen to the Star Wars soundtrack all the time.
Right.
Still good music, though. But anyway, what's really, really interesting about video game music to me is that it has to be listenable for a long period of time, potentially. It has to exhibit the point of the setting and the event occurring. It has to do a lot of different shit in order to be effective as a element within a game. Because games, it is a miracle we have games to begin with.
Yeah. No joke.
The number of things that have to go right between art teams, sound teams, design teams, programming teams. Like these are all people who do completely different mediums. And there are some people who are rock stars who can manage to do all of these things.
Yes.
Right? Pizza Tower comes to mind and as a recent example. Toby Fox, his games come to mind. But they are few and far between.
Yep.
You have to get a lot of people on board to make these things, which is why you don't really always get people like. It sucks that I don't remember the dev of Pizza Tower's name right now, or you don't always get Toby Fox, is because it's fucking hard. It's fucking impossible, almost. But right. That's one of the lovely things about video games to me, is that it is the most obviously, immediately, consistently enjoyable part of a game outside of actually playing it. Like you can take the music out of it and listen to it and still enjoy it out of the game, out of the context of it. But what I think is really, really important about it and cool about it is that no matter what, it will always have been tailor-made, is bespoke to the game that it is in. Unless it was like taken just from some royalty-free thing and then put in and then popularized because of it. At which point, but otherwise, like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
I will say, I don't want to misinterpret it. I like video game music. I don't unconditionally love video game music.
Right.
There's a lot of soundtracks that I listen to every now and again, and I'm like, this is the most generic orchestra I have ever heard in my entire fucking life. Like, it's like, dude, I get it. Like, I'm sure the composition of this took a lot of time, and I respect it. And it's like, it's good, but it's like, it's not exciting to me or interesting to me. And it's not because I'm some zoomer or whatever that needs 10 million synths and car crash sound effects in my music to be considered good or whatever. But like, it's just, I don't know. It's a preference thing. Ultimately, it's that, man, I would prefer to be listening to something maybe a little bit more immediately intriguing. And you know what I really respect. You know what developer I really respect, which is not an unpopular opinion for the choice in music. Hideo Kojima.
Yep, fair enough.
Hideo Kojima does music. I don't think he gets enough credit. I don't think he gets enough credit for doing the shit that he does with music. The Snake Eater scene?
Yep.
He had the balls to take a scene where Snake climbs a fucking ladder for 3 minutes. I was like, I'm gonna put the biggest banger you've ever heard in your entire life on this track. We're about to go crazy on this track right now. And that's nuts. That's so cool. That's so cool. He does such a cool, the Sins of the Father and Metal Gear Solid 5. Any of the music playing in Death Stranding, like I haven't even played these games, all right, and I know how well he implements this shit, because I went and I looked up the scenes because I wanted to be like, what the fuck is happening in the game that this is. So I went and I looked it up, and I'm like, this is incredible. But so yes, this is that's the I think Hideo Kojima does an excellent job.
Yeah.
Even with some orchestral elements. It's because he puts a nice spin on it. Well, that's also because he was trying to do Bond stuff with Metal Gear Solid 3, but
Yeah,
like that's
true.
that's kind of a different thing. Yeah.
But like even then, like with what you're talking about with like certain games or whatnot, like obviously like there are certain games that have like, you know, I'll just say it, basic orchestral like scores and stuff like that. But that's probably because it fit best for like certain situations for that game or whatnot. But meanwhile, like you were talking about like with what, you know, Kojima was doing, especially with like Snake Eater, like you could listen to that song without any sort of context. It is still a fucking
literally
banger.
no context.
It is still a fucking banger.
I think part of that comes down to Kojima's appreciation for film.
Yes.
Like, if you look at how he makes games, it is very, very clear that he takes a lot of inspiration from film. And again, like I said, I was trying to do a Bond thing with that, and like, yeah, that's a Bond song. That is, you could play that over a Bond intro, and it would fit. So, like, yeah, it's interesting to see where the really highlighted points within game music come from, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
In that it's interesting to me that a lot of highlights in game music come from outside sources, because video games is a self-referential medium. Like, I don't want to be mean. It doesn't always work
Right.
super well. It comes off cheesy a lot of the time.
It can. It certainly can.
And like, because games are young. Games are young. They're only about 50 years old to this point. 60-ish if you count like the shit that like computer programmers made on the earliest of computers, right? And at which point they didn't have music. They're not in this discussion. But like, by all means, take inspiration from games, but know that the games that you are taking inspiration from are taking inspiration from other mediums.
Right.
Like, if you love Metal Gear Solid 3, like I said, that's a Bond movie, partially.
No,
it's got that DNA. Or like, oh, I love Star Fox. Go watch Star Trek. Go watch Star Wars. There's a reason. There's a reason that it is the way that it is. And this isn't to say that taking inspiration from video games is bad. It is still really valuable media, and through the dissemination of art and through artistic idea, you know, by playing these games and internalizing the way that these games communicate things, we see very clearly the evolution of them, right? Like, the way that people, one of the most intriguing things to me about games is the language of video games.
Yes.
Which is to say, telling a player what to do. So one of my favorite things, let's bring it way back to basics. Super Mario Brothers has one of the single most genius points of game design immediately upon starting the game. Level 1-1. There is nothing. You are standing still. There is a Goomba walking towards you. If you do not move or jump, you will die. You will immediately be met with a fail state, which means you have to try again. You have to try anything. If you move, you will see you cannot go to the right. You cannot run away. That's not something you can do in this game. So if you move left, the screen scrolls. It is the only way to make progress. Therefore, you will continue doing that because you have been positively affirmed with doing that.
I hate to be the one that says, but I think you got it flipped. It's one of those, you gotta go right, you can't go left.
Fuck, you're right. Fuck, you are right. I had my right and my left mixed up. I was looking on my screen.
I'll say, I hate to be that guy, but this is Mario we're talking about.
No, I appreciate you. I appreciate you. Sorry, hold on. Whoopsie. You can't go left. You have to go right. So, I don't know. Maybe I was thinking it was like his right. I don't know. You have to go right. You can't go left. If you go left, you die. If you go right, you maybe don't die. If you don't jump, you die. You have to jump. You have to move. You have to jump. That's what a platformer is. They summarized the game in 5 seconds.
Yep.
You can understand Super Mario Brothers within 20 seconds of opening the game. You can put it in and you can get it instantly. It's going to maybe take you a little bit longer to figure out sprinting and maybe figure out jump trajectory and whatnot. But the very core of it, you get now. And that's one of the most beautiful things about it is a video, like, and so if we then move forward from that, how do Mario games now work? They do a lot of the same shit, actually. Yeah. 1-1 has been ripped off a million times. Sonic notably doesn't do this. Sonic just makes Sonic fucking look at you weird if you don't do anything. So you're like, what's wrong, guy? What am I supposed to do? And he's like, you can just kind of hear him in the back of your head be like, fucking move, dipshit, or whatever. Like you. Like it's interesting to me the way that that the language of games has changed. Mm-hmm. Or another game, Breath of the Wild, is one of the most ambitious, incredible open world titles of all time. And I think that it is probably the best open world game of all time. And part of that is enticing the player with multiple different things to tell them what to do. There is so much to do in Breath of the Wild. But one particular example, the Koroks, right? The Koroks just are represented by little weird things that don't quite seem right. And it's like, oh, this rock is out of place. Let me put it back in place. Korok. You are rewarded for exploring, and that is what Breath of the Wild is inherently based on. I hate to bring up nothing but like Nintendo stuff about this because other developers do good shit too, and I don't want to be some like Nintendo diehard because believe me, those guys fucking suck sometimes.
But Nintendo is the easiest. Nintendo's the easiest one.
They are legitimately. Like, it is so easy because so many people take influence from Nintendo.
Yep.
Like, what are other really excellent examples of games teaching you to do stuff? Outer Wilds. The planet's closer to you in that game. If you're familiar with the game Outer Wilds, So it's an interplanetary space travel game where basically you have 21 minutes, I think it is, to figure out how to save the universe before the sun explodes. And you're in a time loop of this one, 21 minutes, right? So you get in your ship, you go off and you do some shit. And you're most likely to, upon going in, be like, oh, I'm gonna go to the planet closest to me, probably. The planet closest to you teaches you how to do shit. It like lets you figure out like the looking mechanics and whatnot. Or there's people who you can talk to on there. Or one really bad example of what not to do. Final Fantasy VIII's junction system is perhaps the worst explained system known to man. I think you could more aptly explain nuclear fission than you could the junction system, especially for the way that they try to do it. They're like, Cloud. Cloud is not the playable. Squall.
There you go.
Squall. What if you fucking... You're gonna take the guy, you're gonna put it in the slot, and that's gonna let you use magic and shit. And then okay, so are you with me? Yeah, okay. So I have the guy equipped, right? It's like all the other. No, it's not like the other ones. It's not. What? Your stats are now different. Why? I don't know.
Because we can.
You're using spells as a consumable. What? And Quistis, she tells you this all. She gives you like 50 dialogue boxes telling you how the fuck to do anything. It is insane. But anyway, the way that games tell the player how to do things has always really, really intrigued me and been one of my favorite parts about games. Because I don't like to be the person who there's an importance to story in games. I really like stories in games. What Remains of Edith Finch? Fucking incredible game. Absolutely. There's nothing but story pretty much in that game. I love that game. It is great. I love stories in games. But before there can be a story, there does kind of have to be a little bit of gameplay. Yeah. Walking simulators are not movies because you have to walk. That is it, right? There's a little bit of gameplay to be a game. Or dating sims, if you will. You have to at least press A in order to maintain it. There is a degree of gameplay and a degree of strategy or whatever that will constitute it. And figuring out how to tell a player how to do that has been one of my favorite interesting things that is unique to games, because it is one of few mediums that requires the viewer, the consumer, to actually participate. I think that's neat. Yeah. So again, to the point of, it is a miracle that games exist.
Yep.
Things like these require a degree of cohesion that is insane. And part of that is music, right? Maybe the game wants you to be courageous, so it might play some courageous music, like Shadow of the Colossus, for example. There are some bosses that are honestly like they're if you play them with music and without music, the whole vibe changes. Without music, you almost seem to hone in on the mechanic more, but with music, you kind of feel the fear of the giant creature,
Right.
and that's cool. It's cool how music fundamentally changes the experience, and I think that that's what's most important about it. Before I go in circles countless times, please, I'm going to continue reiterating the point because I think that it is a truth. I do think I don't reiterate if I don't think it's a truth, or until I talk myself into a corner.
I was gonna say, allow me if I want to expand on this point with just one little bit before I go on to my next subject. Because the thing is, like, so you're talking about, like, obviously, like, without music or whatnot, a scene can be like one way or another, you know, all sorts of stuff like that. And even then, like with the Shadow of the Colossus, like they could have played like something completely generic. They could have had just like, you know, monks, like, you know, all like during it.
Yeah, do whatever they do. Yeah.
Yeah, and it wouldn't have like the same kind of fear or whatnot. To a point, and like for me personally, the best example of music amplifying something even with or without needing it or whatnot is also from a series that you love, Sonic. Let's be honest with ourselves here. Sonic Adventures 2. I think you already know where I'm going with this. But like
I might.
But like, look, the scene where you're going down the hill of a city with a truck chasing behind you did not need the most fucking banger like rock song of all time. But like,
and they changed the music for it too. They stopped playing City Escape and play something else for that. That's sick.
Exactly. They did not need to do that. But the fact that they added that, they did that little change up or whatnot, makes it a more incredible and memorable experience more than anything else.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, absolutely. Because then the whole vibe changes. Like, of course, you know, it's still fucking weird and bombastic in that, you know, you're being chased by a giant truck, but now it's like, oh shit, we're going a mile a minute. Like City Escape is like, no airline food, no in-flight movies. I'm out of here. Like, you're still like, hell yeah, Sonic, fuck yeah, dude. Get the fuck out. They can't treat you like that. But then, you know, there's like, oh shit, they are treating him. They're trying to kill this fucking guy. God damn. Like it serves to highlight the stakes of the game, kind of as goofy as those stakes are, and in a way, it's kind of perfect in that way. They do something hilarious and stupid to highlight how hilarious and stupid this game's stakes are, but they still convince you of them nonetheless. I think that's really what really sells that particular instance. Absolutely. Also, to marry the two topics we just talked about, Sonic and then this, Sonic Adventure 2 has some of the most like distinct style about music regarding specifically character themes.
Yep.
Eggman's theme, for example, very much reminds me of Rush, The Who, a lot of like older rock, if you will. Sonic's theme is butt rock. Shadow's theme has like techno elements in it, like very much like rave scene elements. Rouge has like sneaky bastard thief music that plays in all of her levels, and I think that's really that speaks to me in a certain way. Tails has a more hopeful version of the butt rock, like a more like hee kitty butt rock, and then who else is there's Knuckles. Knuckles having fucking dumb 90s rap. They call me Knuckles. Unlike Sonic, I don't chuckle. I'd rather flex my muscles. Oh, it's so funny. Oh, to see how they like through music, it is expressing how adequately or how sufficiently different these characters are, even without the degree of characterization that they would need in order to like actually interact with one another, which is not something the story always provides. So you can kind of get a feel for how they all feel about each other based on how they all exist and how they are all presented. And that's really, really cool to me. That you can get that idea based on their character themes and stage music. It's cool. It's cool. Music is cool. Music in games is really cool because really when you use it in the storytelling and gameplay element to sell a scene or sell a character, it hits that much harder because you're interacting with it in a way. And you're in that moment. You're in a moment in a game, and that's cool. And sometimes that moment is 500 hours long somehow.
but it's still worth
Oh
it.
my god, hold on. I got one more example.
Go for it.
The end of Red Dead Redemption 2,
Oh, okay. There we go.
when they play the track American Venom. And I won't spoil the game because it is the very end of Red Dead Redemption 2. I mean, it is the last mission. They play the most fucking sick track known to man at the beginning of that. And it's like, we're in this now. We're like we were already here. Oh God. Oh fuck, I'm thinking about Red Dead now. Red Dead does a great job.
It does.
Red Dead, I've only played Red Dead 2, admittedly, but Red Dead 2 does a fucking incredible job with their music. They have a whole section where Arthur Morgan just rides a horse to a song because it's thematically relevant.
Yeah.
It's fucking sick. But no, the scene, people listening who have played the end of Red Dead Redemption 2, on the scene on this level on the mountain, the last level, American Venom, they will get what I'm saying. That section, magnifique, mostly because of the song.
There you go. And I think, with the discussion we've had so far, I think we've reiterated just how much that you have like a love for this kind of stuff, have a love for video games, have a love for the art history, stuff like that. And I think the best way for you to be able to express that stuff is with obviously the virtual person that I'm talking to right now, with the streaming aspect. Now, I want to start by asking this question: what got you interested in even the prospect of streaming in the first place?
Okay. So, I never cared about streaming until I learned about VTubing.
Okay, so that in that case, that could probably also lead to my other question then, because I was going to ask after the streaming aspect, what got you interested in VTubing and like having, being a part of that world?
So, like, streaming to start, I never particularly cared about. It wasn't content that I always particularly enjoyed.
Right.
Because, like, I don't know this person. Like, I don't know. Who are you? Like, what? You're just, like, some guy. Like, some dude who, like, why would I give you money for playing? I didn't get it. And then, as all things, you want to get someone into something, you put an anime girl on it. I got into Hololive, and and what I really fell in love with about Hololive was the storytelling aspect and the anonymity, to a degree, of VTubing.
Mm-hmm.
The notion that you could, in a way, go ahead and be someone else. You didn't just have to be some guy or some person. You could be whoever you wanted to be, or whoever you felt spoke to you the best. And I was thinking about it, and I was like, because they do some like lore events and whatnot, and they'd like one of the things that always like stuck out to me as one of the most like baffling parts about it too was the way that they would talk about their personal lives, but disguised. They would disguise their stories of personal life. Some do it better than others, admittedly. Some talent does better than others. But like with the euphemisms that their lore allows, it lets you be fully a person. Like, you can be a character. You can be a person who exists without being yourself in the streaming space. And, streaming in a lot of ways is about being genuine. So, you have to be either a very good actor, or you have to be very, very passionate about your character for it to work in a lot of ways. So, like, there are risks to it. But that's what I kind of fell in love with, and what I began to see it as, like, remotely doable for me. I was like, no, I could do that. If I could make a character. I could get a character together.
Yep.
And here we are. I mean, there's some other things I have like about VTubing. VTubing, to me, I've talked about this before, and I've wanted to make a piece of like formal, legitimate content about this in the future. Okay. VTubing is virtual drag.
Yeah.
It is very similar. Drag and VTubing are more similar than they are different. Of course, this is not to try to be like, ugh, it's so easy to get a drag makeup. No,
it's not. It is not.
It is not. It is way easier to open a few pieces of software and have it track your face. I will 1,000,000% say that. But from a rhetorical standpoint, VTubing and drag perform very similar things to potentially gender nonconforming people, which is me, by the way. Happy Pride Month.
Happy Pride Month.
Let's go. Happy Pride Month. There is a very real sense of like you can be exactly what you want to be. This person on this stage or on this stream is whoever you want to portray. It's powerful in that way. It's a very, very powerful tool for queer creators in this sense. I think that's not talked enough about, or talked about enough, that it is as impactful as it is. With like, there's a reason why you see so many queer VTubers in the indie scene. It's because it feels good.
Yeah.
It feels good to be me.
I imagine at least for you, like with how you're able to present yourself, like it's probably the most comfortable you've been able to feel, like being able to express yourself through this venue, through this avenue.
I mean, yeah, I'm not gonna like go and give my whole sob story and everything, but like, I've been pretty vocal in the past about like how I've felt. I've felt a degree of personal dysphoria and whatnot. I felt the bad shit about the trans gig, the non-binary gig. That's my gig. I felt it all. I've been there, and you know what? Being here and doing this for a while, it made me feel really good about myself, and it still does. So like, if you're thinking of doing VTubing, and you have if you got an issue with yourself in any degree, and I'm not saying to run away from it, but like I think I've become more accepting of myself because of it, because I know like I am not all of the things that I need. That I hold value outside of what is purely physical. Like I hold rhetorical value, and that made me feel good. It still does. So I don't know. It's just something neat that I would like to make more structured content about in the future, about this connection between VTubing and drag, and how important it is to online queer communities to have VTubing as a thing that exists. And because it goes back to making Sonic OCs. Like, it is the same shit.
Yep.
Making My Little Pony OCs, Sonic OCs, Personas. It's all the same shit. We're all just here playing pretend. Because it feels good. God damn it.
I need to introduce you to another former guest I've had on the podcast. I'm sure you may have heard of them before, Alpine Showtime. I don't know if you've heard of them or not.
Oh, I think I've heard the name.
Seriously, you need to get in touch with them, because I know they recently were talking about like wanting to highlight like indie VTubers and like go in depth when it comes to like this kind of stuff, like the stuff that you're talking about. And I feel like you would be a great subject for that as well, to be able to talk about your own experience with that kind of stuff,
Mm-hmm.
But like, okay, I get it. Like you wanted to use like VTubing to help sorry, correct me if I'm wrong, but you wanted to use VTubing as a way to like more or less express yourself, or a way to like truly like get connected with this kind of stuff and like truly be you. So what is it about you? So what is it about you that screamed "Raccoon Art Thief" as the way to express yourself?
Okay, so I will go into the design origin, but again, out of character.
Mm-hmm.
This character you're looking at never said this. Okay? Never said any of this shit, actually.
Said what? I don't know what you're talking about.
Who's this? Who am I? Anyway. So the idea for Pinch came around because I love raccoons.
Okay.
I've always loved raccoons. I've always wanted to be raccoon themed in some way because I like them, right? I was always like, I need to have the mask. The mask needs to be here. I gotta have. I want to be a kimono Mimi, right? I want to be a little bit of a furry. That'll be what my deal. Because I had never considered myself a furry before this. Actually, it's hard to believe. I know, but anyway. So the initial idea was like raccoon. Raccoons steal things. What is another thing that steals things? Pirates or art thieves?
Wait,
I really like pirates and I really like art thieves.
Wait, you're telling me there could have been an alternate reality to where Pinch Raccoon would have been a raccoon pirate?
Yes.
I'm sorry. I mean this in all sincerity. You need to have like a.
You want to see that?
I want to see that. You need to at least have like a pirate costume that could be like a redeemable thing, like a 10,000 point.
I've been thinking about it.
I've
been thinking about it.
You need to do it now.
I've been thinking about it. I will. I'm gonna. It's in the works one day.
Okay.
One day there will be pirate themed content on the channel. It'll be very tongue in cheek, very stupid. I will be very happy to do it. I'll tell you this much.
But.
But so ultimately it came down to either be a art thief or like a cat burglar, as it were, or you could be a pirate. I was like, okay, they both steal things. That's pretty cool. And initially, I was really into the pirate idea. Actually, I was like, it's kind of funny that we are where we are, but I got more ideas um, about the cat burglar aspect
Okay.
later on in development. So then I went with that. And it was partially spurred on by my love of art and history, and I thought it would be far easier to express my love of art and history as a cat burglar as opposed to a pirate. Because a pirate, I mean, you got like 70 years to work with, really. There's a golden age of piracy, and then now piracy, which is sad
Yeah.
and not nice to think about. Actually,
Yeah, no, it's not. Anyways.
it's just so like that was something about it. But no, ultimately, I was able to look at it and be like, yeah, no, I love these things, and I'd be able to do more with it this way. And the character is forming in my mind and how they work. And then also there's like there's like how do they get things done? Oh, well, they're a cartoon character. How the fuck does that work? There's actually a lot of design origins that really, really like line up once you start like covering it. Do you know what the initial use of the term cartoon was? It was actually a sketch made before a painting.
Okay.
A cartoon was a sketch before a painting.
Okay.
They just, and there's a bunch of other shit like this that just keeps on adding up as it goes on. So no, I'm actually the best writer ever. I've never made a single writing mistake. I've never ever done anything ineffective with my story or anything like that, because everything I do is so well researched and so well thought out.
Right.
This is a joke. I just want to be clear. I just want to be clear. This is a joke. This is a joke. Yeah. But no. That's kind of how the character came to be, at the very least.
Yeah.
Is I had a lot of convergent ideas about what I wanted to be able to do, and then I kind of pieced them all together with like, here's how I think this can work convergently. And I think it works pretty damn well. And I'm not going to listen to anyone tell me otherwise, because, fuck them.
No, I was going to say, like, that's the thing I really do, like, appreciate. Like, you make this shit, like, work really well with all the stuff that you've been able to do as, Pinch Raccoon, the stealing hearts and art thief that I have illustrated.
It's such a good line. That is such a good line.
I'm surprised you don't have that. Like,
I'm surprised I've never used that. I think I actually have, like, in my Twitter bio, it says like heart stealer or something too.
That's why I implemented it, because I saw heart stealer. I'm like, no, I'm gonna take it, flip it, reverse it, remix it. Here we go.
And it's good. I will use that in the future, and I'll think of you every time.
Thank you. I'm glad to know that I've left a lasting impact on you past this interview. But now let's go a little bit in character, if I may. So, Pinch,
absolutely.
Pinch, how did you get to this point, if I may? How did you become the art-stealing raccoon that we see before us, and why are you letting us so intimately into your bunker sometimes?
Okay, so I have talked about this before. So, okay, let me give it to you real quick. Like, okay, here's the deal. 1928. It's I exist now. Whoa. Dad's an asshole. Whoops. 20 years, I'm just basically a tool. Whoops, that sucks, doesn't it? Anyway, I'm used to like make cartoons or whatever, animated films. Mm-hmm. That kind of blows, and I don't really think of myself as a person, so oh well. One day, we're chilling. It's 1948. I'm at the Louvre, and there's a traveling exhibit. They've got some Georgia O'Keeffe work. They got Music Pink and Blue #2. It's right up over there. Okay. I see it. It's fucking crazy to me. It's wild. I love it. So I gotta have it. I I come back within a week. Yoink. Mine now. And then I bring it home. And I'm like, this is great. I need more of this. And that's basically how it happened. And I just kept on, doing my thing. And eventually, it was less about the art. It's still about the art. Don't get me wrong. It's still about the art. But I'll admit, I'll be candid. I like doing the thing. I enjoy my craft. I enjoy taking shit.
Yep.
It's fun. Stealing is fun. Do it sometime.
The Postmodern Art Podcast does not condone stealing. Anyways.
But yeah, so that's kind of how it started. Was in prison for a while, 2004 to 2000. Yeah, right, 2022. We're good though. We're out.
we live, people.
Let's go.
We're which again leads me to a previous question. I'm surprised you've allowed people to see the bunker and such, because then again, it's probably deep underground and stuff like that. So I'm sure it's probably hard for the police to track something down. But
I mean, do you know where you are?
You know what? That's a valid point. Anyways, and
the vans are unmarked for a reason.
Yeah. Yeah, I will say your driver, very nice person. My compliments to them for handling me so delicately whenever taking me here.
You must not have gotten Steph. She is a bitch, or at least to me. She seems to hate me. I give her cars. I pay her in vehicles, right? I pay her in fucking Rolls Royces and shit, and she's like, "Yeah, like what the fuck? How?
Okay,
why?"
Okay, time out. You give her the cars. Do you at least pay for the insurance?
Well, she never really needs it.
See,
here's the thing. They're not really.
Anyways,
they have no serial numbers. If you catch my drift.
I like cereal. Anyways, but no, I have to get back. Obviously, when it comes to the streaming and how you present yourself, like I really do love and appreciate like all the silly stuff you'd be able to implement, but also like some of the cool stuff, like whenever you're bringing on people, like some of the fun redeems and some of the different outfits you also like to apply for yourself. Like I think you have some really amazing outfits, especially when you do like some of the fancy events. I really do love that. And I mean,
90 years, you better think I know how to dress.
I would like to hope so. Yes. I want to talk about obviously like two of the biggest things you like to implement with your channel, like some of the bigger stream moments, and like we've kind of illustrated one a little bit, but I want to go ahead and just talk about it again, like the art history streams. What intrigued you to go forth and be like, well, I love this stuff, let me present it to my audience and see if they like it as much as I do, or find some appreciation of it?
So I've always really liked again, art history. But I've also really liked the notion of sharing knowledge with people.
Okay.
Right. Because I do my thing, and that's for me to have the thing, but I also want others to have the thing as well. I'm no snob.
Yeah.
I want people to understand it the same way that I do, and I think I understand it in a pretty cool way. So I think that my opinion holds a little bit of weight, and that people will listen to me to learn about something, and I think it's neat. It's something that people don't do on Twitch. People don't always learn on Twitch. People don't always feel for a story on Twitch. People don't always do this. It's unique. It's different from whatever else is doing. That's what really kind of set me towards it after I did the first one, the Van Gogh one. But I really became infatuated with it because I thought like, no, this works. But before that, I'd always known I'd want to talk about art history. I'd want to do that. That's always been my thing. That's why I am. That's we went into it. That's the point of the design origin.
Yeah.
It's always been something that I've wanted to do, and I'm really, really happy with how I've been able to implement it lately.
Yeah.
I think there are some things that I'd still look into improving. There's the research process, and the sourcing process, which always takes, which I always end up doing very last minute, unfortunately, or at least like putting everything together. So I'd like to look into like improving that in the future and like making my workflow better for that, and maybe get like a dedicated overlay to it. Maybe do some other things like that. But like, I think what I'm doing right now works, and I'm really happy that it's working. It might not be always the most lucrative, if you will, event on the channel, because I'll admit, you got to be in the mood to learn.
Yeah.
You got to be in the mood to let yourself be open to the art, and I get that. I totally get that. That's not what everyone comes on Twitch for. I get it. There's a reason why it's not always done on Twitch.
Yeah.
That's fine. That's perfectly fine. But for me, it's important that I'm there doing it. Because I know that if I'm doing it, I'm having fun, it's worth it to me.
Honestly, Pinch, like the way you feel about those art streams is like the same way I feel about this podcast or whatnot. Like it's not gonna bring in it's not gonna put all the butts in the seats. Like not everyone's gonna carve out an hour and a half, 2 hours at a time to sit down and watch and learn about an artist that they may or may not know about and like get to know them a little bit more intimately or whatnot. But like honestly, I have a lot of fun with it. Like you've had a lot of fun with the art history streams, and that's why you want to keep doing it to showcase that love more than anything else.
Yeah, I think we're similar in this way. I think honestly, we're probably not alone in this either. A lot of artists, I would hope, think similarly to how we are currently, and that the act of creation is enough validation. And while Twitch and YouTube, for that matter, will try to make you feel as bad as possible about the performance of something, it is important to not look at that. Yeah. It's important to at least to remember how you felt making it, and remember how you felt putting it out, and getting a degree of feedback from it. Even if you got none, the notion that you did something and it's something that you made is now exists and can be viewed by other people. That's enough for me in a certain way.
I'll say, trust me, love is what's carrying this podcast, because close to 3 years of not making a single set off of it. Trust me, love is definitely the thing that's carrying this.
I mean, hey, as long as you love it.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Love is the thing we suffer for.
Exactly.
That is the purest way I can call love. Is just you suffer for it.
I was also going to say, also related to another aspect of it when it comes to the research stuff like that. Trust me, I'm very last minute when it comes to my questions. But I think I do a good job doing a good job really representing myself.
No, you're doing a good job.
Thank you.
I on this interview as well as others, I think you present yourself quite well. I think you're doing good. You're asking good questions. I appreciate the questions.
Well, I appreciate that. Well, hopefully it can continue on, especially with this next question that I have, because I think it's time to we've been dancing around the topic, but I think it's time to finally address it. Pinch, I have to know, why did you decide to present the world Spark the Electric Jester? Like, what did you do about that game series and wanted you to go into that?
Okay. I can tell you exactly what happened. Me and Buffy were hanging out in a call. There was a time where I was doing, and not too long ago, I'll probably bring it back, where I was having a bunch of people on to co-host games specifically, and there were games that like they liked and like they knew about or had any degree of familiarity with, that I could then come on and we could play it, and I would play it, and they would help me through it if I needed it. Like Moel was there for Castlevania. Moel was there twice for Castlevania actually. Nyx helped me through Sekiro, Mono helped me through Portal, right? It was great. Ultimately, what happened was I was like, Buffy, what could we play? What could we play, Buffy? And Buffy was like, you ever heard of Spark the Electric Jester 3? And I said, no. And Buffy was like, oh, here's a Steam link. Look at this. I'm like, oh, okay. It's like a Sonic-like thing. And then funniest thing happened, honestly. So Buffy was like, oh, I just wanted to see the third one. And I was like, well, I mean, I don't know if we're gonna do this. Maybe we should play all three of them. Famous last words in a certain way. But like, I don't know why, but I was insistent that like, no, we have to play the whole series. There's 3 games. We have to play the whole series. I didn't look them up on how long to beat when I made this decision. I was like, I'll buy 1 and 3, you buy me 2, and then we'll do this. And then that's what happened.
And boy, did it go ever so smoothly.
I mean, it was funny.
It was funny.
I've gotten a lot of mileage out of it.
I mean, the first one seemed to be like a quality game more than anything else.
First one's really good. I'd recommend it. Second one, no, don't even. No. Third one, gameplay is really good. Skip every cutscene. I wrote a really long review. I wrote like a 10-page long review for Tumblr. If you want it in 3 sentences, the Spark 1 is good. Spark 2 is bad. Spark 3 is good in gameplay, but not in story.
There you go. I was say you, if I remember correctly, you wrote that review twice because you accidentally
I
deleted.
did.
The first
I actually
one.
deleted all of it once. Fuck.
All right. Meme aside, let's get to the real thing that we've been tap dancing around. What made you want to truly introduce the world to this interesting concept you called OST, original soundtracking?
So it's not. So what's interesting is that I came up with it, so it wasn't entirely me. I was talking with a friend of mine, Jetty VT. You may know her. We were chatting. And eventually the idea of a game show about video game music came up at some point. Like we were like, oh, what if that existed? Like in like the TV context? And I was like, I could do that. I have a live format. I have a model. I can be a host. I can put together a set. I can play music through Discord. I absolutely I could do that.
There you go.
It was kind of the novelty to begin with. The notion of like, this would be fun to exist. I want this to exist. I will do it at least once. And then it worked really well. Now it's a staple of the channel. It happens every other week, pretty much.
It does, and I have to say, obviously, like, and this is not biased because I happen to appear on an episode or whatnot.
Host was on an episode of it. By the way, if you want to watch that episode, if you want to see more postmodern art podcasts,
I mean, you should definitely watch the episode where I absolutely fail. But go on. Goodness, no, but like sincerely, like, is a really good concept, and obviously for those that. Sorry, I think we should probably start by saying, for those that don't know what in the world we're talking about, what exactly is OST?
So OST stands for original sound tracking, which is a name that purely exists on the basis that I wanted an acronym pun. Let's point out, okay, let's get that straight. Original sound tracking is a show where 3 contestants come on the show. They come on, and I will play a piece of music from a video game, and they have to tell me information about that song. They can either tell me the game it's from, or the series it's from for the least points, the game it's from for 3 points out of 5 in terms of like tiers, right? So for 1 point, you can tell me the series. For 3 points, you can tell me the game exactly that it's from. For 4 points, you can tell me where within that game it plays. And for 5 points, you can tell me the exact track name. Now these points will change depending if it's easy, medium, or hard, but like that's neither here nor there. Ultimately, you're being graded on a degree of competency in recognizing this music, right? And so what that means is that players come on and we celebrate video game music. We talk about it in a way that is so every songs will come on and they'll guess, and I'll say, "Ooh, that was good," or "Ooh, maybe not." And I'm a bit of a shitter on that show. I play it up. I'm mean. I am kind of mean on that show. I'm like, "You don't know this? How could you not know that it's a video game?" Like, I love my bit there. I really do. But so, I, as the host, will then, after the song plays, I will kind of prompt my guests to talk about the game if they have any experience with it. If, like, let's say Sonic Adventure 2, it's like, oh, it's the level from Mad Space. That level blows. That level is fucking really annoying. And I'm like, yeah, that level does suck, doesn't it? Like, that's a really like elementary example of what happens on the show, but like the fundamental like watching loop, if you will. Song plays, people guess, however long that takes. Once it's guessed, we talk about the song a little bit. And then between rounds, I interview each guest in something called a lightning round, in which I play 5 songs from a game that they said on the application that they could name any song from. Like 5 songs from a game that they could name any song from, right? To varying results. But after that, I give them a platform to talk about that game for pretty much as long as they want. I've been yelled at in the past. I've been like, Pinch, it's been 20 minutes. It's been 20 minutes, Pinch. You gotta cut this off. But like, it's a really good place for people to show their stuff and for people to talk about art that they love. And that's what makes OST so important to me. Is it's not just a quiz show, right? Yeah. It could, like, and no shade to video game quiz shows. They exist on Twitch. I've seen them. I know of one that exists that a lot of my audience actually shares with them, or a lot of my audience for OST shares with them.
It's the Chase VGM, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, the Chase VGM. Very very cool show. I've lurked an episode of it. I haven't played it myself, but I should really play an episode. Not like on the stream, but like in chat. I should play the episode. But so there's no shade towards quiz shows, but I think what makes OST different and what makes it so worthwhile and so fun to me and the guests is that they have the opportunity, like I and the guests have the opportunity to insert ourselves into the discussion, because it is right. The fundamental point of like, will you succeed on the show from a game perspective is, are you familiar? But what will have you succeed on the show in terms of a entertainment and a having fun perspective is, are you willing to learn about something? Are you willing to talk about something? Are you willing to make a connection in a way that you maybe hadn't thought of before? That's what makes OST for me.
I mean, I know, at least from like my personal experience on the show or whatnot, like obviously, like first off, I learned about just so many like banger tracks that I never would have thought about listening beforehand or whatnot. I surprised myself with some of the ones that I did know. And then whenever I went to like the lightning round, like I should have probably picked one that I knew better, but I felt like the nostalgia in me wanted to pick obviously Pokemon Sapphire, because I had such a deep love for that game growing up, and especially whenever I decided to do my research, which in hindsight I was doing too much, and it's either you know or you don't know with any video game, with any game show experience. But even then, like just listening back to that soundtrack, like it rekindled that love that I had for that game and such. And like, you know, being like your show, I will say you do a great job like emphasizing the beauty that is some of these video games. You do a great job making the guests feel comfortable, whether it be the stuff that they think they know or the stuff they have known nothing about, more than anything else. And you provide a fun time for everyone involved. And that's why I sincerely love OST. And I make it like I try to catch every single new episode. I try to make it a appointment every single time you announce another episode. And like with announcing like application stuff like that, I've tried to encourage so many of my other friends, like, hey, you need to get involved with this. Like, this is so much fun. I was gonna say like the biggest one is someone that helps me out a lot with the podcast and actually provided this little design right here. His name is Aiden Arts. Because he is a huge Spyro fan. And I know you get him on that show, and especially for the lightning round, you get him talking about Spyro, he will not shut up talking about Spyro. And
I do think Aiden did sign up. I'll keep that in. I get a lot of people applying.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So it's hard to get everyone immediately, but I will definitely keep that in mind. I see.
Absolutely. Because like
I appreciate you plugging for me.
Yeah, of course. Like, and for everyone in my audience today, I will hopefully by the time when this episode does come out, applications will still be open. I will have the link for that application for you guys to apply. Because seriously, it is a fun time. You can tell from me, I left with 0 points and I had a fun time. Okay, because you made like the bonus round section fucking fighting games. I know fucking nothing about fighting games. Okay.
What do you mean? What do you mean you can't tell me the order in which a DP is inputted on a control stick? What do you mean you can't tell me that? It's Dragon Punch. What do you mean you can't tell me that information? What do you mean? That in a double or nothing where that you have to participate in, that's an unfair question. What do you mean? What are you saying?
I'm not gonna lie. I was half debating, like whenever you said you all said the same answer. I was half debating, joking in, and be like, "Can I change my answer then?" Like just to see if I could. Also, I'm gonna be 100% honest with you. There was like at least 1 or 2 questions in there to where I can't deny I looked at the chat to get the answer for. Just like one or two. But like more often than that, because like at the very least, like I looked at chat. I didn't go with their full answer. Like, you know, I saw bits of like, you know what? That makes sense. I'm gonna try to go with that at least for like the game, but not like the name of the track, because I didn't want to like have that like confidence or whatnot. But like you've also encouraged before, hey, if you can get away with stealing, like that's part of your gimmick. So
yeah, no, you can honor among thieves is a bit of a myth, but also Like, I appreciate you admitting to, I suppose, in hindsight,
Yeah.
to this, but
Look, and like I said, at the end of the day, I left with 0 points. So really, who's the real winner here?
yeah, it's me.
Exactly.
I always win.
You always win. Not
I
always.
always win.
Not always though, because I mean,
I did lose once. I did lose hard once or twice.
I was gonna say, like, even then, like, what was it? Freaking having Ellie, like the way that like she fucking dominated the game.
Yeah.
You know, Sasha, when she came on her episode, like the lightning round, like having the best score only to be broken the following week by Drake about Pac-Man World.
I can pull up your stats if you want. I have those stats. Do you want me to tell you those stats?
Sure, go for it. Tell me that I have 0 points.
Here, let me pull it up. Well, see, actually, I don't count if people leave a 0. I count their peak of points.
I remember for the lightning round, I had, if I remember correctly, I think it was 10 points because I recognized.
You didn't get 10
because I recognize a good couple of the tracks, but I also got like the names wrong for a couple of them or something along the lines of that.
Which, to be fair, it's Pokemon.
Yeah.
It's fucking impossible to find the actual track names for that shit. I go like pretty much whenever I play Pokemon music on there, I'm like fucking close enough, dude. I was sure.
Mm-hmm.
You got your high score was 62, which is not bad.
Yep. And then it shot right fucking down to a fat 0. But nevertheless, like, it's a great experience, and especially with like the stuff the community you've more or less like developed as well is something that I have to like commend you for more than anything else, whether it be from OST, whether it be from these art streams, or just general gaming and stuff like that. Like, especially like the group you've more or less like developed ever since you really got started with VTubing. Are you more or less surprised with like the group of friends and the community you've developed since you've really gone all in with VTubing?
Yeah, in a way. Especially, it's interesting the way my VTubing journey has kind of worked. I for the longest time was very like I started streaming rather, debut, whatever, fucking VTuber term, whatever. I started streaming on March 2nd, March 2nd of 2022. I did like maybe 2 collabs until October.
Oh wow, okay.
I had the friends for it too. Like, I could have, but I didn't. I don't know why. I don't really know why. I, for a long time in my VTubing career, was really kind of like shut in, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
I was pretty like, okay, collabs on my channel. I went on other people's channels and stuff, but like,
yeah.
And I think I might have the number wrong, but it was like I could count on my hand how many collabs I did. There's like Tooth Bandit. There was one really big Among Us collab. There was like, who else? I did that. There was that one time I tried running that person through Destiny stuff. Okay, that's 4. I can't think of any others. Anyway,
either way,
I didn't do
like either way, you've had like a handful at best.
Yeah, to say that you know, to that point, I was pretty closed in. I was like, I'm gonna do my own thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I had friends. That's the thing too. Like, I didn't not have friends.
Right.
It was just that I was very convinced of that I had to do it alone in a certain way. Like, it had to just like mostly be me. And that's not even necessarily like, I don't think that's the truth anymore. It doesn't have to just be me. And especially even, you know, a lot of my content is based on like the way that I play games. And I talked about this on stream recently, actually, when I was playing Wind Waker, is my issue with playing long games. This is how this came up, is that the point of it is to be that I want each of the streams to be like you're watching a review get developed to a certain. I talk about the game very consistently the whole time, right? I talk about what I like about it. I talk about what I don't like about it as it happens. You will know what I think about a game probably by the time that I finish the game. I do not keep it hidden under any circumstances. As we saw with Spark. Spark. Yeah. So like, I really like the review idea of my content. Speaking of which, I gotta get right in Tumblr views again. Fuck. Out of that saddle for a hot minute. I gotta write some stuff. Anyway, what am I saying? I got sidetracked.
As you were saying, for the longest time, like it was the review aspect of why you wanted to do like
Yeah.
the long form streams.
Yeah, so I wanted to do stuff kind of alone, right? And I don't get why I did that. Then I played Overwatch 2 with a bunch of people, and really kind of started being friends with people more. Like not even that, not even necessarily that, but just like I became more integrated in the community and had more people who I could consistently talk to about things. Like in the both on the content side of things as to like what I'm struggling with there, but also the just having more people to surround myself with. It was nice. It was really nice. It still is nice. It's not like it's ended. It's not like oh the world has turned and left me here. It's over for Pinch Raccoon. No, it's nah. But yeah, it's been neat. It's been really cool. It's been really cool to have all these people who I can call upon. Like even just this stream, I mentioned a bunch of people. I mentioned, there's OST, which has 3 new people on every time. I meet a lot of people through that.
Mm-hmm.
I've made a lot of really great friendships through that, and like seeded a bunch of good friendships through that. Like it's just cool. It's really, really cool that I have the connections that I do currently. That's not even like to gloat about clout or anything. Like I don't even want to brag. I'm really happy that I know as many cool people, because the thing that is nice to me about the VTuber community, and I want to point out, the VTuber community isn't real. It's not a thing that exists. It is a collection of smaller communities within it.
Right.
Call it cliques if you want to call it cliques, but I'm telling you this, all right? Me and like Iron Mouse don't talk to the same people. All right, right. We are not. She doesn't know who I am. All right. There's different communities. There's the big indies. There's the big corpos, and then there's like the little indies. And within the little indies, there's about 9,000 smaller subgroups too.
Yep.
It's like, yeah, like it's not a real thing. The community can't agree on anything. The only thing that denotes VTubing is using like a digital or otherwise like representation of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That is it. It could be PNG tubing, VTubing.
Yep.
Puppets, VTubing, kind of. But more like P-tuber. I don't know. That's not really a good name though. Workshop that. Well, like you count, kind of. No, VTubing. The VTubing community isn't fucking real. But what I do like about my VTubing community, as it were, is that I have managed to make it such that I am surrounded by like-minded, not necessarily in like yes man way, but like-minded in the sense that we all want to be better. We don't want to be the best inherently, because being wanting to be the best implies subjugating others. We want to be better. We want to be the best creators and artists that we can be within our preferred medium. And we all just happen to have the same preferred medium generally. And there's a bunch of people who bring in a lot of different walks of life and a lot of different ideas to it. And it's really beautiful. And it's, in certain senses, like it's flattering that I am a hinge on which this sect of like the community works. It's flattering that I am, I think, like looked to in that way, I guess. For people who don't know me so well, that's not really going to make sense. I mean, it doesn't have to. It doesn't have to make sense in this case. But like, I don't know. It's cool. If I had to give any advice about community, it would probably be fill it with people who want you to be the best you can be.
Absolutely.
That like filling your community from the base level with people who are good actors, not even, no, I don't mean like in the performing way.
Right.
I mean good actors and like they act good. They are good people who do good things.
Good-mannered people.
Yeah, and who you see a lot of integrity in, and who you are at least like-minded with in other ways. Like, it's cool. It's really, really cool
It really
to see
is.
that. When you get that, because you will not feel more supported than when you have a problem and you have 30 odd people who would be willing to help you
Mm-hmm.
if you ask. It's really it's a blessing. It is a blessing.
Yep.
I'm not religious, but it is a blessing to uh be in the position I'm in. I'm not the biggest creator. Under no circumstances am I the biggest creator. My follow numbers aren't exactly reflective of anything, right? But I feel so much love on a daily basis from the people who do come back and do watch my content and do come here and let me do my thing and help me do my thing in the best way possible and push me to be better. I feel so much love every single day from these people. It it makes me so happy. And that's what I fucking love about this. And that's what I love about this.
Good.
There's no greater act of than creation. This is the truth. It makes me sad that people die without having ever known what they could create.
Right.
But there is no greater act than creating with someone else.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There is no more noble act, in my opinion.
As someone that on a weekly basis technically creates with, artists, weekly basis or whatnot, I agree with that.
Yeah. Like, you can do it alone. You can do it alone. But it's a whole hell of a lot more fun, and you feel a lot better about it when you have people to bounce ideas off of, when you have people who are willing to tell you when you did something wrong, when you have people to tell you what's going right, when you have people to support you, when you have people to, I don't know, like your shit, retweet your shit, boost your shit. It's how you succeed, ultimately.
Absolutely.
I know it's really hard. It's hard to get friends like this. And which is why I'm reiterating so many times that it is such a blessing. And I appreciate it so much that so many people who I have looked up to at certain points in time have seen something in me that is interesting to them or compelling to them. Because I'm just saying shit. I just say things. That's what reviewing is, ultimately. It's just saying how I feel about shit. And you do act creatively in that, but it's absurd in a certain sense. It's I wouldn't listen to me. Why are you listening to me?
Look, Pinch, again, you and I feel like we're on the same boat. All I do is ask fucking questions, all right? It's whoever I'm collaborating with that provides the good content. I'm just setting them up. That's all I'm doing. And people come
to watch. A talent, though.
No, I'm not denying it. I'm just saying that's all I fucking do.
Yeah, I get you. I think I've been able to cope a little bit with the I just say shit by really leaning super hard into my character.
Yep.
Lately, and I will be leaning further in the near future.
Mm-hmm.
At some point in time. I don't know when this is getting uploaded, but it might get uploaded at an opportune time, actually, come to think of it. Anyway, updates on that later. I'll whatever. Anyway.
I was gonna say, I'm looking super duper quickly. Ooh, because I remember you have a nice little teaser that I saw recently about
a little something.
June 24th or something along the lines.
June 24th. Whoa.
And for context, I'm planning this episode to come out June 22nd. So.
Oh, let's go.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's go, baby.
So I can only imagine what you're teasing right now, especially with the character and the stuff you want to say.
I'm saying this. I'm saying this. As the creator, I'm saying you should fucking watch my stream on June 24th.
Yep. Absolutely, you should.
It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. I got a lot of shit in the works, and it's gonna be a new beginning of sorts for me and my content that will hopefully help me do more from the I'm making something perspective in the future, as opposed to the I'm reviewing someone else's thing perspective.
Okay.
I really love reviewing other people's things, and that's going to be part of it. But I'm moving forward. I'm moving forward in ways that I think are fulfilling to me, and I hope that those around, those within my community, my beloved community, would be interested in seeing that as well.
Well, if you plan on moving forward, I've always heard that thing you always gotta do is, you gotta look back sometimes and appreciate where you
Oh
came
yeah.
from to understand where you're going from. So for this next question, I have to say, like, on top of the community you've developed, think of all the stuff that we've talked about, whether it be the art history stuff, like the video games, like your art journey as a whole, if you whatever you want to consider that. Are you amazed with how much you've been able to develop so far and how much you're going to be developing in the short term and long term future?
Oh my God, absolutely. I'm fucking baffled, actually. Like, it's wild to me. I think I make the hottest shit out there, personally. I think I bring my all every time at the very least. Like I do my best, if nothing else. I do the best I can do at that moment. And when I step up to the plate, I think I do what I can do. And what I think I can do is pretty good. I like doing what I do, and maybe that's just like, yeah, it looks good to me, right? Who made it? But I don't know. It's just like, yeah, no, I think I'm doing a good job, and I'm happy to be doing a good job. And this isn't from like I want to point out, this is not me being egotistical. You're allowed to think like this.
Yeah.
You are allowed to say, I think I made something good. Like, I firmly believe that if you think you made something good, you should absolutely do it and keep doing it and release it.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see it. I want to see what you feel good about.
Hey,
Anyway,
this is this whole entire thing that we're talking on right now. This is me. I'm in the same boat with you.
Yeah. What was the initial question? Oh, am I amazed about how far I've come? Yes, absolutely. One of the things I don't tell you about VTubing going into it is how much you learn.
Mm-hmm.
Would I have told you a year ago, 2 years, a year and a half ago? More than a year? Yeah, okay. Let's say at the beginning of 2022. Would I have told you at the beginning of 2022 that I would be someone who is like not completely improficient with Unity? Absolutely not. I would have said you're lying to me. Would I have told you that I am now someone who like knows a little bit of Photoshop? Like, I'm not gonna say I'm like the best ever,
Right.
but I like to think that my work is a bit gestalt, if you will. It's a little more than the sum of its parts. My technical skills, they could use work still, but where I've come from what I've been, like, I am a better writer now. I am a better reviewer now. I think my takes on things are better now. I'm a better video creator. I'm a better script writer. I'm a better 3D modeler. I'm a better visual artist. I think legitimately the only thing is that I haven't improved in my musicianship. That's it. And that's just because I haven't had a lot of time to practice lately. Because I've been busy doing VTubing stuff. And who knows? Maybe one day I'll go do some musician shit in this scene. I don't know. You'll fucking know when you see it, though.
Yep, ain't that the truth?
Like, that's one of the greatest things about this is that it is so. I'm a better actor now.
Yeah.
One of the greatest things about this scene is how multi-talented creators can be. In some ways, I said it's incredibly rare to get a Toby Fox. To be a VTuber, you are encouraged to be a Toby Fox, if you will. You're encouraged to be a Renaissance person. Someone who has many talents, or is at least willing to put in some work to learn some talents. And I'm just in a really good spot right now about how I feel. I feel like what I'm making right now is good to me, and I hope that my audience and my community is going to see it and they're going to love it. And I think that if they, maybe I need to sell them on it a little bit more, but I think what I have in the works is going to be pretty impressive. So I was talking about Hololive in their lore and how they use that to play a character. What is a character if not with a story? And I think that Twitch as a storytelling method hasn't entirely been explored.
Ooh, okay.
So I want to do shit with that, and that's cool because now this gives me writing work to do. There's so many different types of work to do with this, and it's weird. It's weird that I'm like, oh, work, yes, but like, okay, love is the thing you suffer for. I love VTubing.
There you go.
I suffer for VTubing. I will go through the fucking Vroid trenches every goddamn day if it means that I can keep doing what I like doing. One day, okay, this is bragging. This is bragging.
Okay.
Because I want to point out how much I love what I do. One day, what is wrong with my thumb? What the fuck? Are you good? Why is my thumb broken? I'm gonna have to. We're putting that hand down. Is this one fine? Oh my god! Hang on. I'm not putting my hands up anymore.
If you keep them moving, people don't notice.
What the fuck? Look, they're in my hand. They're in my fists now. Anyway, one day in February, my PC, the main drive in it, just died. Literally everything on it lost. I probably corrupted. I can't get anything back out of it. That included at the time all of my models.
Oh.
That included all of my OBS settings. That included like pretty much everything. Like all my fan art that I'd accrued, everything. So within 14 hours, I had an OST scheduled for the day I got my PC back. I spent 14 hours setting up my PC again and then building my model again from mostly scratch. Thankfully, I'd sent my model to someone, so I was able to have a basis to work off of. But I had a moment where it was like, either you walk away from this forever because you just lost everything, or you power through and be better because of it. And I think in that that's one of my proudest moments personally, was powering through and saying, no, I love this. I will not let this minor inconvenience, or I will make this a minor inconvenience, as opposed to this is going to end my career. And I know for some that might have ended their career, and that's fine. That's fine for them. That's not me. And I'm happy that in that moment I was true to myself and kept on doing what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. I fucking love this shit. I love this scene. I don't love the scene. The scene can be bad sometimes. I love what I'm doing, and I would trade it. I would trade the world for it in some ways.
Completely and utterly understandable. I mean, with especially the 14 hours, because I think I remember like when that stuff was like going down. If I remember correctly, I'm like, this is gonna be interesting to see how this plays out more than anything else. But no, like obviously I can see that you have a lot of love for this, and I can see how far you're willing to go with this. So for this next question, if I may, how about I go above and beyond for this next question and give you more or less the dream scenario. Let's say I am Big Shot Mr. Moneybags here. I come up to you and I'm like, look, Pinch, first off, lovely place. I love the decor. Look, we know you can do some incredible stuff. You just need a little extra push, a little extra platform to really get you like above and beyond more than anything else. We have access to anyone and everyone in whatever industry possible, and more money than there should be possible. We probably should be donating to LGBTQ plus communities and charities and stuff like that, which we'll do. We'll be sure to do that. But right now, we're focusing on you and you alone. If given this opportunity, what would be the dream Pinch Raccoon project?
Okay. I have thought about this a little bit.
Okay.
I would want... So obviously, first off, we budget out enough money in order to subsidize an animation studio for 30 years. That's step one.
That's a good start.
So I can... I can start that business and then have it be, for a while at least, exclusively dedicated to my projects, which I would continue doing. Otherwise, other than that, I would keep doing what I'm doing, but without any pressure of like money, without any money pressure, like whatever I want. If I want like a thing, if I want a game, if I want to do XYZ for the stream, I can pay for that. If I want a commission, I can pay for that. And then otherwise pay for lessons in a lot of things. Pay for Photoshop classes, pay for 3D modeling classes, pay for information. Because I'm someone who likes to do it myself in a lot of ways. there's some things that I know I'm probably missing the boat on a little bit, which is where, pay for animation studio comes in. I can get a little bit with my 3D model as to like animating, if you will, but it's not like, I don't know. I'd want Studio Trigger to do my shit personally. I'd kill for that. Yeah. So a bunch of lessons, animation studio to subsidize things that I might not be able to do otherwise. And basically maintaining the health and well-being of me, and maintaining a level of comfort in my life to allow me to do whatever I want with streaming.
There you go.
Which is a lot of money. Let's point out this is a lot of money.
Yep. This is that's why I said more money than there should be possible.
Yeah, this is an obscene amount of money at the table here. But gotta dream big.
Exactly. You gotta dream big, but unfortunately, we gotta dream a little bit smaller, and we gotta come down from the dream scenario and back to reality. And I'll ask the ever so generic question, Pinch. Where do you hope to see yourself, say, 5 to 10 years from now?
I kind of hope I'm still doing it.
Good.
I hope I'm still doing this. I hope I've told my story by then. In 10 years, I definitely hope I've told the story I want to tell. I hope that it went down well. I hope that I have a following of people who wants to support me. Mm-hmm. Well, I already do. But I mean, like, a following of people who wants to support me that also like pays for my living. Like, you know what I mean? like so many people with so much money that my life is subsidized by doing this. What I would love, ideally, right, is for the ability to do what I do and support myself through it.
There you go.
And I think I don't see myself quitting anytime soon.
Good.
Under any means. So if I get there, I get there. If I don't, it's still a hobby. That's fine. I'm okay with that, I guess.
There you go. Hey, now at the end of the day, as long as you just want a more stable way to keep doing what you're wanting to do, who's anyone to argue with that, right?
Right. Yeah, right?
Exactly.
Like, I love doing this. I'll tell you what I don't love doing. Any other job.
Yep. Look,
so
I'll say, look, as a forklift operator, I would love to be doing anything other than forklift operating right
now. I get you.
As we start to wind down the interview, I just have one last question I want to ask you, Pinch. Obviously, You've been deeply entrenched in art for basically since you were born at this point. But like, I didn't realize how entrenched you were in art until you told me earlier. But nevertheless, you've been deeply entrenched.
So it's funny. I've actually not said this publicly. I've actually not said that publicly before.
Really?
So this is an exclusive scoop, actually.
I appreciate you giving the Postmodern Art Podcast the exclusive scoop here.
Yes, I don't normally talk as the creator. I'm not publicly.
Okay,
least.
Fair enough. But that's back to my original question. Obviously,
sorry to interrupt.
No, you're good. I appreciate that. I sincerely do appreciate that level of trust more than anything else. But back to my original question. Obviously, you've been deeply interested in art in one way or another for as long as you can remember. How important is art, not just for you, but for the world as a whole?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, as I kind of stated before, art is incredibly important for a multitude of different reasons that I did touch on in multiple different ways. It is the cultural record of humanity. It is the cultural record of sentient life. It is an inherent piece of what makes humans human. Since humans could be humans, they have made art and have had some degree of work that would be used to express some form of idea or feeling or something to that end. This has been the truth for time immemorial, right? Since humans were human. Mm-hmm. Before that, too. So it is the cultural record. It is a good way to look at history. It is a very, very intriguing way to look at history. to see how art is influenced by historical events. It is incredibly important for the emotional intelligence of people and for people to be able to think critically as well. Critical thinking is developed by consumption and analysis of art in some ways, as well as other means. But art is a very palatable way to do so. Art can hurt people, help people. It can do anything. It legitimately is the most powerful tool of human expression, is the act of creation. And the act of intentional creation is the most powerful human tool. People will say, like, oh, the brain, but like, I think everything's art. Everything that anything that a sentient life form can do is art. Engineering is art. Being a doctor is art. Being an artist is art.
Yeah.
Being a musician is art. Being a VTuber is art. Being a game dev is art. Being a picture framer is art. It's all art. It's all intention. Art is intention. That's it. If you intended to make something, or hell, even if you didn't, it is the intention whether it is there or not. That is what art is. And it is so important. It's so, so, so important because it is capable of literally anything. Yep. And people will try to define it, and people will try to say what it can do and what it can't do, and they're wrong. They're wrong because you don't know what it can't do. Right. Maybe it hasn't happened yet. People are always pushing the boundary, pushing the envelope, if you will, about art. There's always someone new doing something new, and maybe you just don't know about it yet. That's the lovely thing about it, is we'll never run out. And even if you're like, I'm bored of paintings, I've seen all the paintings. If you somehow managed to do that, go look at music now. Like, yeah. Have fun. You'll never reach the end of that. Like, it's incredible. It's hard to really to put it into a very, very specific amount of focus about it as to like what's so important about it. But I guess to bring it to what Matt, I'm talking hoity-toity, but like let's talk, to viewer. I'm talking to you now. What does it mean to you, right? It's how you might go ahead and process things. It's helpful to you, or even then, the act of expression, the act of making, that is incredibly important as well. Like, the making of art is equally as important to the consumption and analysis of art. And if anyone tries to tell you that there is a right or a wrong way to make art, they are wrong. Do not fucking listen to them. It is the single biggest lie. It is the most infuriating lie I have ever fucking heard. Is that there is a correct way to do art. Art snobs are the worst. They are the fucking worst. And analyze it. Absolutely, that's important. I'm not an art snob though, because I analyze shit. Art snobs are art snobs because they say that only their analysis is right. That's the fucking problem. Mm-hmm. All right. If we can get past, if we can okay. I guess like the thing that really like keeps it from being important to a lot of people is that the perception of art is that it is hoity-toity. It is very, very much so highbrow, if you will. And while it absolutely can be highbrow, this isn't to say it can't or it shouldn't, but I think art needs to remain consistently in the hands of the people. Paintings are for the people. Mm-hmm. Music is for the people. Sculpture is for the people. Anything that can be made is for the people. Because who's going to consume? People. Yep. All right. Even back when rich fucks would commission really talented people, like Da Vinci, for example, to do things, it was for the purpose, well, first off, of having the ruler gloat. But second off, but it was for people who went in the Sistine Chapel. People. They did. And they appreciated it. And they got something out of it. Anyway, the value of art is literally untellable. Whatever it means to you is important. But don't let anyone tell you what it means to you.
That is wonderfully worded. All of it, if I do say so myself.
Thank you. I had like 10,000 thoughts swirling around, and I was like, I have to get this into a thesis somehow.
Look, if there's anything I've learned from today's conversation, you have so many thoughts about so many things. And this episode, I'm pretty sure it's already going to be like the longest episode so far that I've had.
Damn!
And I've had a 2.5 hour long episode for context.
Damn!
But I'm sure if I had let you, this could have easily been like 5, 6, 10 hours.
Oh,
of
easily.
conversation. Like, easily.
I mean, that's what my streams are.
But
it's me just ripping.
But nevertheless, that is wonderfully worded, if I do say so myself, Pinch.
Thank you. Thank you.
That is all.
I take pride in that.
Good. That is all the questions that I have for you. I've already showered you with a whole bunch of praise, but I'm going to shower you with a little bit more because it's my podcast.
Oh,
I do what the fuck I want. Look, like I said.
Yeah, that's the artistic spirit.
Exactly.
Fuck yeah. Do what you want. Exactly. It's yours.
Exactly. And I will by starting off by saying, Pinch, ever since I've gotten a chance to even first know you in the first place, like I have really appreciated what you've been able to present just right off the bat. I know with the OSTs, it was just a good fun time with your streams or whatnot. Like you provide a good, fun, entertaining like presence more than anything else. And that's something that I initially just love and appreciate right off the bat more than anything else. Getting the chance to hang out with you, you know, sit in Discord calls and get to chill, get to grow with you more than anything else. Like it's been a fun experience, and I really do cherish and appreciate you letting me be a part of your community and letting me, you know, be a part of that and enjoy some of the amazing moments. Getting a chance to sit down with you today, learn like just everything I can about you. Like really,
thank you for having me on. I realize I haven't said this yet.
Oh, I think there'll be moments when I get done.
I said it before, but I said it before, and I'll say it after. But I want to say it during. Thank you for having me on as well, like mutually.
Absolutely.
Sorry I interrupted you, but
no,
please go.
I was gonna say, like, getting the chance to sit down and actually talk to you, get to learn about you more, you know, learn about the history of you and like how much this stuff truly does mean to you. Like, I already had an instance of how much this stuff really meant to you before, but like. Now I truly know that, like, more than anything else, like, the love you have for all this stuff and the love you have for your community and whatnot is so deep-rooted that nothing is going to deter you from getting away from that. And that's why I fucking love and appreciate more than anything else. Like, even though I am talking to, once again, a virtual raccoon art thief, I am talking to probably one of the truest motherfuckers, like, in all this community, and I love and appreciate that, and I thank you for putting yourself out there like that. Thank you for having your love on full blast for all the people, for all this stuff. And thank you for providing like an incredible opportunity for people to, whether it be just to sit down and, you know, learn about some incredible art and stuff, or learn about music that they might not have otherwise, or just sit down and have a goofy time laughing at how bad a game Sonic Forces is or something like that. Like,
we did talk about a lot of shit, didn't we?
I was gonna say, like, the duality that you have, and like the complex, like the different ways you've been able to present that love for what you do, for what you have. That is why I will always be one of the people right by your side, no matter what. Rooting for you every single step of the way on this journey, keeping on doing the incredible stuff, Pinch. Long story short, I could go on and ramble for another 5 hours about how incredible it is to talk to you today, but I will simply say,
that's so sweet.
I will simply say thank you so much for what you do. Thank you so much for letting me be a part of your community and creating some incredible opportunities. Thank you for letting me on OST in the first place. That was an honor more than anything else.
You're great. You're great. I'd have you on again, absolutely.
You know, I should probably sign up because I do want to be on there again and like redeem myself.
I mean, you're already in my database. I will call upon you when the time is appropriate.
Awesome. And finally, I just want to say, keep on doing the incredible stuff that you're doing, Pitch. Like, I know you said, you know, earlier on that, like, you know, you're not one of the big creators, you're growing that community or whatnot. I sincerely think if you keep doing what you're doing, providing the incredible stuff, whether it brings all the views with the game show stuff, or whether it's the stuff that, you know, only a handful of people will see with the art stuff, you keep doing this incredible stuff, that community is going to grow, and they're going to see that love on full display, and they're going to love what you do as much, if not more, than I do. So thank you, Pitch.
It's so sweet. Oh. tearing up a little. Thank
Look,
you.
I'm just being 100% honest. All right.
I appreciate that. I do. I appreciate your honesty. It's nice to be told that you are appreciated,
There you
and I
go.
appreciate you, Ghost. I hope you know that. I really fuck with the podcast. I
Thank you.
really do. I
I
think I think you provide a very, very valuable and intriguing service to communities that you grace with your presence. And I say that in such a way that it sounds facetious. I do, but that's because I have a tendency for that. I'm resting. I have a bit of a resting bitch kind of thing about me a little bit. But I mean it. I really do mean it. I think that um, providing people the platform that you do provide them is really, really cool. Like it's just fucking sick that you do that and that you're so passionate about it. Because you don't always see people who are such givers, if you will, in the community. And I think that that is how I would best describe you in this content is that you are giving. You are providing a platform for people to come and talk about themselves. And there's listen, I love talking about myself, so I appreciate this a lot, like a lot, because I love talking about me and talking about things related to me. Um, so I'm sure I'm not alone in that. I'm absolutely not alone in that. I know for a fact I'm not alone. So it's really cool to me that you provide that to people. It is an honor to be here. It is because I've seen the types of folks that you've had before, and I appreciate it a lot to
look.
be considered in something similar to the ranks of that.
I appreciate that you think so highly of that. I'll just say this or whatnot. Like, keep in mind, I was able to get some of those people on the podcast the same way I got you on this podcast. I just simply asked. Okay.
I mean, I know it's not like you went through the 12 fucking fires of Mordor or some shit. So it's a Discord DM compared to like fighting to please, this needs to go to the top floor of the Empire State Building now. It's like trying to get a letter to someone. I get it. I hear you in the humbleness here, but it's also like it's a matter of consideration, really. It's the like there's some people who I've seen who I really look up to and who I think are really, really fucking cool, and you had them on, and now I've been on the show, and
There you
that's
go.
like whoa, I'm in good company.
I won't say I've gone through the rigor of going through like the 7 layers of hell or whatnot. Although I'm still waiting on that carrier pigeon to bring back that one.
Mhm.
I hope it didn't get lost in the transit somehow.
Uh,
Anyways, now if people want to see why exactly I'm gushing about and learn about some of this incredible stuff and maybe find a way to see some of this incredible content like the art history stuff or this fun OST show or maybe more about Spark the Electric Jester, who knows? Go ahead and plug your stuff for the people at home.
All right. So you're gonna want to get a pen and paper for this, or or scroll down to the description.
Yep.
You can do either of these. Twitter at Pinch Raccoon, Twitch at Twitch at Pinch Raccoon, YouTube Human Shaped Raccoon, capital HSR. Where are we going from there? Tumblr Pinch Raccoon. There'll be the form. There'll be the application form for OST will be included in the description below. I don't close that anymore. You can sign up anytime. I will see it if you would like to be on the show. OSTs happen bi-weekly, usually the second and fourth week of the month. The art streams happen the third week of the month, or weekend. These are OST and art streams both happen on weekends. The third weekend of the month, it will be the art history stream, and the fourth weekend of the month, the second and fourth, will be OST. I don't do anything the first one. I try to take that one off so I don't burn out. Because as much as I love it, you're gonna not burn out.
Yep.
TikTok at Pinch Raccoon. I'm fucking everywhere, basically everywhere but YouTube. Destiny 2 at Human Shaped Raccoon. No, I'm not. That's a joke. Don't do that. Yeah, that's everywhere. I think.
There you go.
That's everywhere that matters, at least.
Yep. Which, I've asked so many questions today, but I forgot to ask a very important question. Where did the name Pinch Raccoon come from?
Oh, well, I'm a raccoon, and pinch is British slang for stealing something.
Simple enough. Okay, glad we got that answer.
It's also a good name.
It is a really
It's also
good name.
a good name. You ever met another pinch in your life? Fuck no, you haven't.
No, I haven't. So I'm glad you are one of one, at least in my books for now.
One of one, baby.
Just like some of the art pieces that you have behind you, which again leads to another
Oh,
question.
yeah.
Are you planning on returning any of those? Or
No, they're mine.
okay, fair enough.
I got fakes. I got fakes. They do their job.
There you go. Do you have any final words before we sign off?
To reiterate, don't let anyone tell you what to do about art. And like, if you are ever even remotely interested in making something, do it. You will not regret it. You will regret it if you don't, because the pain of not knowing is worse than the pain of failure by a lot. So with that, follow Pinch Raccoon on Twitch, baby. I'll see you later. I've been Pinch. You've been delightful.
And with that, all I have left to say is for the people at home, hasta luego, mi amigas.
Check your pockets, by the way.
And pay your artists.
Yes.
Tell me what's wrong, tell me it's parts in motion. Sing me a song, tell me your eyes can all open. Show me it all, pick me up in the car you drove when you used to call. Show me it all.
Thank you so much for sticking around to the end. If this is your first time listening, I greatly do appreciate you getting to this point, especially considering how long of an episode you just got through. Look, I joke and I mess around about the length of this podcast, but honestly, it was a podcast that I would gladly record over and over again for as long, if not longer, than before. So, Pinch, if you have gotten up to this point, thank you sincerely for bringing such an incredible conversation on all different fronts. I knew it was going to be a fantastic conversation. I just didn't expect it to be the longest one yet. I mean, you could... I've illustrated this before with previous guests, like with Too Much Sasha. But, like, you could tell when someone is truly passionate about the stuff that they are sinking themselves into. And Pinch is definitely invested and passionate about the stuff that they are presenting to you guys. And I sincerely hope you guys appreciate it and give that love right back to Pinch. I know that they've been doing a great job kind of growing their community, really doing some incredible stuff, providing opportunities for their community to grow more than anything else. I'll say ever since I was able to appear on OST, the group of people that I've gotten to meet thanks to Pinch has really been awesome. If you guys know who you're talking about. We chill in calls all the time, and each and every single one of you guys are incredible. Sincerely, Pinch, I said it before, but thank you for letting me being a part of that community. It just shows that it really does show that there are truly some incredible people that can find some interesting bonds one way or another. And with the community we have developed so far, and the community that we're definitely going to be growing here before too long, I can't say too much, guys, but I'm going to let you know right now, in a couple weeks, this could be some big stuff coming. There's going to be some incredible stuff coming this way, and I'm excited for you guys to get a chance to listen to what I'm talking about, get to see what I'm talking about. Because I'll be honest, I'm still in disbelief of what's to come. I've got some incredible conversations. Not that this one wasn't incredible. Obviously, this one was a phenomenal conversation. But I've got some incredible conversations coming up for you guys. And I sincerely cannot wait for you all to listen. All I've left to say is honestly the same thing I'll say every single time. Make sure you continue to show love and support to all those artists and creators doing incredible stuff. They deserve it more than you could ever guess.